You know what time it is. Buckle up and enjoy the ride.
And we are live. Greetings to our loyal WFYL listeners around the world. Welcome back to your Philadelphia live stream, only on the Freedom Station. I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in once again, because you still have the right to hear and the right to be heard. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mike G. As always, with me are Philly Chris, Russ the producer, and Liberty Lee. And you're listening to Mike G in the morning with The Law Matters. And you can listen to our program every Friday at 7 a.m. Eastern, only on the Freedom Station, WFYL. So let's be heard. I want to remind our listeners that you can participate in the free and open exchange of thoughts and ideas throughout the entire week by visiting MikeGinTheMorning.com. What's it called, Philly Chris?
MikeGinTheMorning.com.
How about you, Liberty?
MikeGinTheMorning.com.
Russ? Wait, I forgot. We fired Russ. We kicked him off the show. He's going to claim he quit, but don't believe him. John Petrolino, the Pen Patriot, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
And what is the name of that website, John?
Your website? I believe it's MikeGinTheMorning.com.
That is correct, sir. You can check out all the shenanigans that Mike G and Philly Chris are up to throughout the entire week. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. So tell your friends, tell your family, tell your barber, tell your Uncle Jerry, tell anybody who listen to check us out at MikeGinTheMorning.com. I also want to remind our listeners about the powerhouse lineup we've got here at the Freedom Station. Kick off your mornings with Scott Adams. Bring you the Scott Adams Show weekdays from 9 a.m. until 11. We've got Dan the Man Bongino. Bring you the Dan Bongino Show weekdays from noon until 3 p.m. We've got the headliner, intellectual giant Ben Shapiro, bringing you the Ben Shapiro Show weekdays from 3 to 5 p.m. And finally, we love having him at the Freedom Station family. We've got Michael Knowles. Bring you the Michael Knowles Show weekdays from 5 to 6 p.m. So don't forget to tune in and show him some love. And with that, you know what time it is. Buckle up and enjoy the ride. Hit it, Russ. Wait, I forgot. We fired Russ. So hit it, Mike G. Buckle up and enjoy the ride.
You know what time it is. Buckle up and enjoy the ride. You know what time it is. Buckle up and enjoy the ride.
I guess certain things Russ is better at than I am. That's okay. We've all got our strengths. We got a very special guest here with us today. We've got John Petrolino, who is known as the Pen Patriot. He's the author of the wildly popular book, Decoding Firearms. He stands up for our Second Amendment rights, frequently writing articles throughout all kinds of different platforms. John, thank you so much for joining us.
Mike, it's a pleasure to be with you today. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
It is our pleasure. So, John, for our listeners who may not be familiar with your work, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do?
So just the short story is I write quite a bit on Second Amendment related issues. I hold bylines at bearingarms.com, over at AmmoLand, the Second Press, a couple other sites as well. And I try to, get, firearms and Second Amendment related news to the masses. And then as you said in my introduction, I also have a book out. It's called Decoding Firearms. And this is kind of like a 101 level book for people that want to get acquainted with firearm use. It's good for beginners, and it's also good for veterans that want to brush up on firearm use and some of the safety aspects of it. And I'm a firearm instructor, and it all kind of just snowballed out of control, as I'm sure you can imagine these things tend to do. especially being from a state like New Jersey.
Right. And you can never know too much about the fundamentals. So whether you don't even own a gun yet, or you've owned firearms for many, many years, you're going to want to pick up the book, Decoding Firearms. They could check it out on Amazon. Am I correct?
Yeah, you could get it over at Amazon. It's paperback, it's Kindle. If you don't want to buy it from Amazon, if you go to the Gun for Hire range at the Woodland Park range, their website over there, they carry it and they sell it also on their e-commerce store.
That would be great. Go ahead and patronize Anthony over there, a good friend of the Second Amendment. That would be great. So, John, we're going to get a little bit into not so much what you do, but why you do it, because a lot of people, frankly, are familiar with your work. It's great that you're doing what you're doing. Before we do that, I want to give some thanks to some of the loyal Mike G Morning fans who are tuning in. With CB checking in. Give him a hey now, Philly Chris.
Hey now, CB.
We got DG checking in. Give DG a hey now.
DG, hey now.
Jay Howard, give Jay Howard a hey now.
Jay Howard coming at you live. Hey now.
We got Jeremy Miller. Jeremy Miller, thanks for stopping by. Give him a hey now.
Welcome to the show, Jeremy Miller. Hey now.
Rita gets a hey now. Hey now.
We love Rita. Hey now, Rita.
We got Scott. We got Dag Nabbit. Give them both a hey now.
Scott's the man, and welcome, Dag Nabbit. Hey now.
And Front Sight Training PA. Give Front Sight a hey now.
Hey now to Front Sight. Welcome to the show.
Hey now. Thank you, everybody in the Mike G the Morning family for joining us yet again, our loyal WFY listeners around the world. So, John, one thing I do want to say is it's a huge service that you're doing for the Second Amendment community, because in what you're doing, putting out articles on a regular basis and keeping people informed and bringing these topics to the forefront, that's something that is tremendously lacking, because you better believe you're not going to hear anything in the way of news or reporting or even think pieces when it comes to the Second Amendment. You might see things in the New York Times about how we got to take everybody's guns away because they're so terrible and they don't belong in a civilized society, but you don't hear things from that different perspective. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. And that's a lot of what I do is take stuff like that, for example, out of the New York Times. The old gray lady tends to get it wrong on firearms stuff. So on the opinion end of things, if I'm writing opinion, I do a lot of commentary where it's like, let's set the record straight, because what you're talking about is not accurate. And as you know, how quickly I start to look at different material, I can't help myself at just automatically going into, we've got to fact check this, we're going to debunk it, we've already, playing weasel words. And that's the other thing. And with mainstream media, some of it is ignorance, where they don't understand firearms, they don't understand civil liberties, they don't understand the Second Amendment. And then the other half of it is, it's probably more than half, they hate us. They don't like firearms, they don't like liberties, they don't like free thinking. So why would they even try to give us a fair shake?
Yeah, and I've had these debates on national forums, these town halls with people who were the heads of anti-gun organizations, and they'll make a comment, and the response is somewhere along the lines of, you're either incredibly stupid or you're disingenuous, but there is no option C with what just came out of your mouth. And that's what we see with these pieces, don't we?
Yeah, and I think, again, I think it's a mixture of both, and I don't know what the exact formula is to make that flavor the way it is. But there's a lot of nuance to being both ignorant and not caring. So, I don't know if we'll ever get to the bottom of that, but nonetheless, this is what we do, and that's why you do what you do. That's why I do what I do.
I think you're far more nuanced than I with the way you present it. For example, when you said with these pieces that come out, you say, hold on a second, let's set the record straight. That's not entirely accurate. What comes to my mind is that scene from My Cousin Vinny where he stands up and says, everything that guy just said is bull. And basically, that's what you're saying, just in a more polite, professional way, right?
I try to do it so that I don't get completely deplatformed,
It's no fun. I'll tell you that much. That's happened over here. So John, you said you're living in New Jersey. Are you from New Jersey originally?
I am. So I was hatched here. I was incubated here. This is my home. I went off to college in Massachusetts. So I spent 4 years in an equally unfree area, uh, you know, and I studied, got my marine engineering license and degree. So from there, when I returned back to Jersey full time, I was a merchant seaman. I still am a merchant seaman. So my day job is working on ships. So I'll go away and then I'll come back and, kind of get exposed to a lot of different regions and a lot of different people. But yes, fundamentally, I'm from New Jersey. So if I say something to you that's not quite as polite as it should be, just understand I'm on the other side of the Delaware, right?
I'm from Brooklyn originally, so it might be a little worse.
Okay. Well, hey, that's perfect. You're like a paisan to boot.
Yeah, we'll be just fine, John. We'll be just fine. So what part of Jersey were you raised in?
Central Jersey. So to really make things even more controversial, there is a Central Jersey, not just a North Jersey and a South Jersey. Where I hail from, it's called pork roll. It's not called Taylor ham. I know you guys have your own thing going on over there with Scrapple, but we have the pork roll. So I'm in Central Jersey, from an area that would be considered more red in New Jersey. But something that I've learned is our politics aren't as actually cut and dry as I was led to believe they were up until recently. And, as you're aware, and, a lot of the listeners and viewers are aware, we had a very monumental thing happen last year, right? And that was the New York State Rifle Pistol Association versus Bruin. So what that allowed me to do is actually get my permit to carry. And in fact, I did go and get my permit to carry. But what I've learned is that the judges from this county, which was a predominantly and traditionally conservative county, the judges have been issuing permits with all kinds of ridiculous restrictions that you can't carry the gun loaded in your car. You have to carry specific make and models that you qualified with. So it was weird because I was definitely living in the matrix where I'm like, wow, I'm in this great area in New Jersey, and even the great areas in New Jersey completely stink.
They don't like guns. That's what it comes down to. Republican or Democrat, there are a lot of elites out there who think it's okay for them to have guns, but nobody else, because we're different classes.
Exactly.
We don't count.
And there are some areas that have been fantastic, some counties that have been great, some towns that have been great. But overall, again, as you're aware from just the national scene, they're kicking and screaming. They can't handle this. It's too much liberty. It's too much freedom. And what I like to remind the legislative, the judicial, and the executive branch, because it's all three branches in New Jersey that are conspiring against us. All three branches. They need to understand and realize that the Supreme Court said that the peasants are allowed to have their pitchforks. So you need to get over yourself.
That's right. That's absolutely right. I want to bring Liberty on this because Liberty is originally from North Jersey. So I think that she needs to chime in on this debate. Liberty, is there such thing as Central Jersey?
There is. Because I'm from northern New Jersey. So there has to be a central in order for there to be a south, because I'm from the most northern tip of New Jersey.
So Liberty being up from Sussex County, that's Trump country over there. That's the good old boys club.
And I can attest to what John said, that for sure there's counties that are more like, we have farms, we have cows. You would not know you were in New Jersey from where I'm from. Hunters, we're actually a big bear hunt up there. And still it's the same thing. It's very, very tough with gun laws. It's just the whole state,
Yeah, everybody else gets stuck with the gun laws from the state. even though the people are like-minded up there, frankly, you might as well sell Sussex County to Pennsylvania. I think that might work out a little bit. That might work out a little bit better. On the other hand, though, Liberty, being up from Sussex County, isn't anything south of Sussex County South Jersey technically?
No, they tend to think that, and there was like this weird rival between North and South Jersey, and I never understood it. South Jersey girls did not like North Jersey girls. I never really got it because, again, I'm from the boondocks. Nobody even knew where I'm from was, except Action Park. So that was about it.
But yeah, there's Action Park, John.
I never went. I think there was far too much tort around Action Park. I think that there was just a lot of places for people to have the personal injury attorneys ready to roll. And you could correct me if I'm wrong, Liberty, but I do believe that Action Park did have that reputation of not necessarily being what I would call the safest, but to each his own.
There's a full documentary on right now about it, and I think Johnny Knoxville also did a movie about it. So yeah, they were shut down due to, I believe, somebody breaking their neck on a slide.
And he's perfectly a good example to talk about what is and is not safe. So that works.
Right, yeah, Johnny. It's such a dangerous place. Johnny Knoxville had to portray it.
That's right.
Well, it shows how smart John is because he stayed away. So I can't speak to myself, but we can listen to some firearm stuff from John because he was smart enough to stay away from action.
Well, no, is it? Hold on. I want to talk about that. I find this fascinating. So when we're talking about something like Action Park, isn't that a true symbol of liberty that people can go there and be as unsafe as they want without government intrusion? What do you think, John?
I mean, as a libertarian, as a constitutional libertarian, I'd agree with you. But then you have people, like me, middle-aged, slightly overweight, just want to take my kid to have a good time. I'm like, I'm gonna trust that the water slide's not going to eat my kid, and that's just that comes with the territory. So like, as for cavalier behavior on your own, like I'm all about it. You want to do that, go for it. But I got to put my trust in. I will say, since we're having the North and South or Central Jersey debate, I'm like 15 minutes from Six Flags Great Adventure. And all I got to say is, they're still open. Action Park isn't. So, if we have to settle the Central Jersey, North Jersey debate, we do still have a theme park.
Well, actually, when we went to Six Flags, it was a hike. It was pretty far south for us. So I don't know. I'm teetering on you might be South Jersey now.
When you're from north of the wall, that's what happens, but it's okay.
John, maybe they should have warned everybody on the way in, something along the lines of, hey, you might have a good time, but you're probably going to die here, and you might get severely injured. And if they adequately let you know that, and you could turn around with the kids and say, you know what, kids, I don't think you should die today. Would that be fair? Would that be a better way of handling it?
Yeah, I think that works.
It was not only just the slides, it was the wave pool. People drowned in the wave pool. They were like scrapes or not scrapes, just like more than that, breaking their legs, like on that Alpine Slide. I mean, the cannonball slide, people get nosebleeds, and like it was insane because it went upside down. It was called the cannonball, and they just were paying people to test it. Like if you watch the documentary on Netflix, it was insane. So John was smart to stay away, but yeah, there's freedom. Go there if you want and risk it. I've jumped off the cliff a few times and there was nobody monitoring if you jumped on somebody else. It was at your own risk.
Oh, just the way I like it. For those of us just tuning in, you're listening to Mike G in the Morning with The Law Matters, only on the Freedom Station, WFYL. So, John, getting back to being raised in New Jersey, were you raised around people who owned firearms? Did you know anybody who lawfully owned firearms growing up?
Not entirely, really. So, again, it was supposed to be this, we'll call it a pseudo-conservative area. But firearms weren't part of the day-to-day where I was from. Actually, I mean, I was kind of an outlier in that, I was involved in hunting activities, so that comes with firearms. And then also through the scouting program, I was involved in the shooting sports there. So, but we weren't like a gun family. This wasn't, like now I'm a gun guy, right? There's no, ifs, ands, buts about that. But I came from a tradition of sportsmen. So I kind of got my firearms introduction through floodlife, and there weren't too many other people that, we just don't talk about it. This isn't something we talk about. Firearms, shooting, guns. This wasn't something that was spoken about where I was from. And even still, to this day, not that I'm a closet gun owner, but this isn't something that I actually advertise in my day-to-day life. This isn't, there's friends that we have that actually really don't know about this portion of my life. And it's just for the better if we want to keep things, maybe peaceful in a sense that, politics can ruin things. And
Sure.
I'm not the one doing the unfriending. I could tell you that much because I don't care. I don't give a what you do. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So
It is extremely polarizing. Everybody seems to have an opinion on it very strongly one way or the other, don't they?
yeah, and it's like there's close to no middle ground, and then when it comes into like, well, we could use this as an educational, teachable moment, not when they're throwing in the emotional arguments. Forget it. You might as well lay down your banner because reason almost never wins over emotion when it comes to an argument like that. Now, it might in the wild, reason wins, but in an argument, it doesn't.
So when was it that you were first exposed to firearms in terms of firearms for self-protection, firearms in terms of Second Amendment rights and things of that nature?
So when I turned 18, I went and got my firearms identification card in New Jersey. And again, that was kind of just a passage thing, a rite of passage. And, being a gun owner, having that was, made sense. But again, that was just gun ownership light. And again, it was a lot of futtery. We were just talking about hitting the clay fields and, hunting. We're not talking about capital G, right? When I turned 21, I did query my police department about getting a permit to carry. And I talked to the woman at the desk and I said, hey, I'd like to, apply for a permit to carry. And she says, you can't. I said, well, what do you mean I can't? I said, this is my constitutional right. And she said, not in New Jersey, it's not. And then I said, yeah. And then I said to her, I said, listen, I says, you can't tell me that I can't apply. So give me the paperwork. So she gave me the paperwork and then I took it and I threw it in the trunk of my car and I never did anything with it. It was like, well, clearly I'm going to apply and it's going to go nowhere. Right. When I got older, I did eventually get a handgun and then a second handgun and kind of entered into that element. And I'm still not fully invested yet, but what really flipped the switch was when Hurricane Sandy hit. And when Hurricane Sandy hit here, we went for like a week without power. There was people getting knifed at gas stations. There was all kinds of, civil unrest, so to say. And even still, that wasn't a worst case scenario. It was horrible, absolutely, for a lot of people. But where we were situated, where I was, we just dealt with, no electricity. And, that was enough for me to just say, hey, it's time to take these from where they're locked up. And one's going to go in the sock drawer because I had no other choice. I mean, there was no children in the house or anything like that. So that was when it kind of flipped the switch. That's when it really dawned on me that we're really responsible for our own entertainment and our own self-defense. And then things kind of spiraled out of control from there. I ended up becoming a firearms instructor because I was taking a class. The class that I was taking, and again, I had experience. I had some experience, not a ton of experience, but I was on a rifle team. And again, a lot of shotgun shooting, a lot of rifle shooting, long gun stuff. And my brother-in-law and I were taking a class. And by the end of the pistol class, he was shooting in the dirt. And I said to myself, there's got to be a better way to teach this guy how to get on paper. And I said, you know what, I'm gonna become an instructor. So I did. And that was probably in like 2014 that I became an instructor. And by 2015 is when I started doing, writing about Second Amendment related issues. And then 2020 is when my book came out, and that's a whole different story why I wrote the book and how that came to pass. But when the book came out, that's when things all seemed to kind of converge, and I started to actually get paid for my writing. So I got an official byline with AmmoLand where, I'm doing actual writing for AmmoLand on the regular. So it wasn't like a one-off every so often. And then after AmmoLand, I started doing some writing for JM4 Tactical. And then after that, Bearing Arms. So I had hooked up with Cam Edwards over at Bearing Arms. And he kind of took me under his wing. And it's been 2 years now. It was 2 years on Sunday. 2 years on Sunday that I've been officially with Salem Media, writing for them as a contractor or whatever you want to call it, a consultant. And it's been great. It really has been. So I went from, having maybe 10, 15 articles published over a few years to in the last 2 years, I've written about 500.
Wow. Where did your passion for writing begin?
I've always had an interest and a passion in writing. My original exposure to it was actually in the literature scene, in the creative writing end. So I was heavily involved in poetry. I was actually very successful in that world. But what I found quickly was
tell us
that.
a little bit about that. Tell us about your success.
I want to hear a poem.
Hickory Dickory Dock.
Oh.
Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right. I was getting poems published left and right. I had produced a couple of books. Well, I produced a book on my own, and then a small publisher published my second book of poetry. These weren't really huge, thick books. They're little tiny, poetry books. And I was getting work published, and I probably have, I don't know, maybe 100 poems published in print and online and stuff like that. I had started a reading series in Jersey. It's still going today. I handed it off to somebody. And a lot of why I handed it off is what I'm about to tell you is the scene and the people. So it's like, all right, this is the world of expression, and everybody gets to be who the heck they are until... All right, I want to talk about my stuff and my idea of fundamental liberties. Like, I was more of a classic liberal then, as I am kind of now. So things that, like I said before, I don't care what you do. Do what you do. Just keep it over there. They cared. So people were very hostile, and doors started to close more and more the more and more I spoke about what my idea of fundamental rights and liberties were. So when that door, I kind of closed it. Not that I'm not creative writing. I still do creative writing. I just keep a lot of it to myself. When that door closed, it kind of like this other door slowly started to open. And that's, when I started to think about things from a more journalistic standpoint, writing on Second Amendment related issues. So, and it's been great. I've had more success, let me tell you, as far as just getting things published and finding a home, someplace to hang my tile, because, now I've got multiple places where, I could put my work out there. And a lot of the editors that I work with, they're really great. Freddie Reel at AmmoLand is really fantastic. Cam Edwards is great. There's a brand new publication also. Oh my God.
Give him props for that. He was the first person who had me on his program in my legal career. His show was the first show that I was on a couple of weeks after being barred when I sued the city of Harrisburg and got an injunction on that. So I'm forever grateful to Cam for that appearance.
Cam is a great guy, and I absolutely love getting to interact with him on my work and stuff like that. So I'm lucky, and just opportunities are always happening. A new online site just popped up. I want to give these guys a big hat tip. It's news2a.com. It's a lot of New Jersey stuff, but they do have a national scene as well, so they'll have those stories too. But these guys, their story is great. It's like anybody else that gets thrust into advocacy. They're like, we're tired of the BS, so we're going to we're going to hashtag do something. And they actually did. They started a website. Again, it's news2a.com. And you could jump on there, read some of their stories that they have. And they have a mailing list. Get on their mailing list because they're going to start sending out digests as well. So they just published a piece of mine last week, and I was talking about these issues with these judges that are giving restricted permits. Like, you can't carry a loaded gun in your car. So let's talk about the mechanics behind that. So I did a whole entire rundown of what it's like if you would have to go and load and unload your gun and what decisions you have to make 5, 10, how many times you're in and out of your car when you're doing errands, and then having to worry about being spotted by over-caffeinated Karens that are ready to just throw they're ready to hurl mochachinos at you, and incoming fire and getting doxxed, and so all those considerations. So the guys at news2a.com were very gracious to accept that article, and it was kind of a Jersey related thing, but they've got a lot of good stuff going on. They just had something roll out from Massachusetts. Charlie Cook, I know you met Charlie, Mike, you and I,
right,
when we met up in PA. Charlie Cook just wrote an article on the gun violence listening tours that they're having up there, which was these panels that are, kind of heavily sided, as in zero pro-rights people.
Sure.
So he wrote about that. So anyhow, I'm very fortunate to have met all the people that I have met. Another one is Armed Lifestyle. And these are all publications that are out there that it's all free material for the most part. And like I said, I'm just very fortunate to be able to do this.
Absolutely. For those of us just tuning in, you're listening to Mike G in the Morning with The Law Matters, only on the Freedom Station, WFYL. So, John, I want to back it up a little bit. When you talked about how your career shifted gears with your success in poetry and the fact that you were basically shut out because of your ideas over there. And that's an observation that a lot of people have made over the years, that in whether it's acting, right, or writing or music, you have people who bring the arts to the masses, and for whatever reason, they're very consistently anti-liberty. And maybe even years ago, when the left was a little bit different, freedom of speech was less contentious as it is today, where they totally shut you down if you say anything that you don't like, that they don't like. But what is it about that? Do we not see people who are pro-liberty in those fields and in those circles because they get shut out? Or is it something about those people in general?
I don't know. And I have a lot of hypothesis about this. And, I'm going to take your question and I'm going to repackage it, right?
Sure.
So why don't we just take a look at some sort of a left of center cause and a protest, or mostly peaceful protest, or months of protests, right? From that group, okay? And then let's take into consideration a right of center protest or demonstration. You're not seeing necessarily the same crowds. You're not seeing necessarily the same amount of people. You might not be seeing the same amount of enthusiasm. And why? One reason might be because the right of center people get up in the morning, they put on their pants, and they go to a job actually doing something. Sure. Not that the left of center people don't, but if you're getting into the liberal arts and sciences, the product is a product that's not needed. Is it enriching for our souls? Absolutely. Is it needed in that sense? Yes, it is needed in that sense. But I don't know, more of your corporal things that people are doing that is a little bit more associated with conservatives, you have all of that and then some in those occupations. So I don't know. That's one of my hypotheses. And on top of it, we can start talking about the educational system. And then you and I are going to go down a rabbit hole that's going to bring me back for 5 or 6 months in a row, because we'll never get to the end of that tunnel,
That's okay. Listen, we had, when I first started with this station, a gentleman who worked the soundboard, said something more profound than anything I've ever heard. Eye-opening moment. It's between, we were on a commercial break or something. He said to me, "You know what, Mike? The left's done an amazing job at taking control of the media, the entertainment, and the education systems in this country. And that's how they've locked things down." And that's 100% correct. Because when you think about it, anything that's entertainment, let's talk about music, talk about movies and television. When was the last time you saw a TV show or a movie where they were preaching values to you and they were right of center, like you're saying? Never, right? It's always you're turning off the TV because they're shoving some leftist agenda down your throat. And it's usually not even subtle.
Correct.
Musicians get canceled if they come. I believe there was a musician who was in DC on the 6th, like nowhere near the Capitol. He might have gone to see the speech beforehand, and he was getting kicked off of his record label and getting canceled by a bunch of people. And education, forget it. You see what they're doing at universities today. If somebody comes out and says anything even slightly conservative, these are people who are Democrats. They are not Republicans. They are Democrats, but they say something that's not lockstep with the narrative, right? If they're not 100% aligned with 100% of the narrative, then they get canceled. They get fired from their job. They get suspended.
We're now in a world where things that Bill O'Reilly says makes a lot of sense.
Right.
And that's, something that we all need to take note of, and it's like, he's not a conservative, he's kind of stayed the course, pretty much a classic liberal, nothing wrong with that. But the things that are coming out of his mouth as of late is, is stuff that I could identify with.
Are you talking? You said Bill O'Reilly. Did you mean Bill Maher?
You know what? Yes, Bill Maher. You're right. Yep. There's a faux pas there. You knew what
we knew what you were saying.
I knew what we were talking about.
Wrong Bill. Yeah, you're right.
I probably have to look to the left to get to Bill O'Reilly anyhow, but
well, there's that too. Yep. So we do live in this.
Right about Maher. He is making sense on a lot of this stuff, and a lot of people on the left are trying to eat him because they always eat their own, and they talk about how he's changed, and he's saying, "No, I'm not the one who's changed. You guys have changed."
Well, and that's the this hatred towards like Elon Musk, and like Elon Musk is this crazy conservative. Musk has been pretty much, well, first of all, he's a businessman and he's very good at what he does, so that comes with its own set of tactics, if you will. But this guy hasn't really changed a lot, He's not this champion of conservatism. He's making good business decisions, so it makes it look like it's conservatism or libertarianism or whatever you want to say it. That's because deregulation makes good sense for business.
Yeah, no, that's very true. It's very true. Let's talk a little bit about when you made the decision. You said it was in the aftermath of Sandy?
Yes.
Now, we heard all kinds of reports about people getting into fights at gas stations because the lines were around the block, and even somebody in my family saw somebody pull a gun on somebody in New Jersey at a gas station during that period of time. It was pretty wild. Did you witness anything wild? It was just the fact that you didn't have electricity and things of that nature.
Luckily, I didn't have to deal with anything personally in my face like that. The probably the wildest thing that did end up happening to me during the time of Hurricane Sandy was in the aftermath. I was at a gas station, which you waited in line for like an hour just to get gas. And I would do it if I had the time. I would just wait and I would top off my tank. I pumped my own gas in New Jersey. I think we're beyond the statute of limitations. But
right.
when I got there, when I got there, the attendants were running around like crazy, and I just said, "I got this." And he saw me with my credit card. I knew how to do it. I'm like, he could see I spoke the language of, gas pump, and I pumped my own gas. So it was both the craziest thing that happened to me during Sandy, and it was my biggest act of rebellion to this day. So, and again, we're past the statute of limitations, I think. So, but I did do that, and I'm not going to say which station I did it at. You're not coming after those guys.
Yeah, they can't prove jurisdiction.
Don't give too many details.
You allegedly pumped gas.
Right.
I allegedly pumped my own gas.
That would be great. What are you in for?
Right, littering. Yep. I pumped my own gas.
Pump my own gas. You don't want to get mixed up with me.
Yeah. I tried to do it one time in New Jersey, and thankfully the attendant stopped me because I was trying to put it in where the oil goes.
I know.
Okay.
I was like, pop the hood. I'm like, wait a minute, is this where the gas goes?
Before
that would have been a wild ride.
Wait, are you joking, Philly?
Yeah, I'm just kidding. No, I haven't yelled at though.
I'm very gullible.
I forget sometimes. I'm over there a lot, and sometimes you forget. You get out, and they're like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I don't know."
I'm opposite. When I come to Pennsylvania, I'm waiting for somebody to pump my gas.
Oh, that's funny, right?
Yeah.
That's it. Stuck for hours.
Yeah,
that's why Philly Chris always gets out to pump your gas when you guys are riding together. Right?
Right. That's right.
John, before the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association case, and Justice Clarence Thomas set the record straight in terms of our Second Amendment, it was obviously next to impossible to get a permit to carry in New Jersey for as long as we can remember.
Right.
And I remember talking to somebody, and we were talking about the permit to carry issue. And I said, well, you're dealing with a government who thinks that the private citizens couldn't possibly pump their own gas without some kind of special training or education. They think you're so stupid that you couldn't possibly figure that out. Like, oh, these are not trained professionals. What are you, nuts? You've got to have control of every aspect of your life over in New Jersey. Otherwise, they're not satisfied. They really do look at the common citizen as I don't want to say subhuman, but a different class of human being.
We're peasants, as I said, and we're subjects, and the state does not like being told that you can't do that anymore because these are in fact citizens. So, I mean, you're talking about the pre-Bruin, permits to carry. So, like, if you wanted a pre-Bruin permit to carry, I mean, this was it. This is what you needed. The golden ticket. That was it. That was the pre-Bruin, permit to carry. So you'd have to go and buy, cases of these things to try to find it.
And then they had to take you through a tour, and if you accidentally ate the wrong thing when Willy Wonka wasn't looking, they kicked you out and you get nothing. Good day, sir.
And guys like me get stuck in the tube, I get stuck in the tube.
Or Liberty goes on the scale and she gets sent down to the incinerator with the bad eggs, right?
The bad eggs. That's correct.
Knappen often cited a statistic, said that in New Jersey, there were fewer than 600 permits to carry issued prior to Bruin. And to put that into perspective for people, we've got roughly 13 million residents in Pennsylvania, over 1.5 million licensed to carry holders. In New Jersey, you got roughly 9 million residents, and to think fewer than 600. Think about what kind of a ratio that is. That's
decimal
insane.
Percentages, or
yeah.
It's getting a little fuzzy for me on the math. So
yeah,
somebody out there listening could do that math. It's not me.
So you decide that you want to get further into firearms for personal protection. And I know that you said that you don't necessarily talk about it with everybody in your life, but is there anybody in your family, brother-in-law, I think you said, is there anybody else in your family you started talking about this about? Did anybody say, oh, are you going off the deep end? Are you a little nuts?
Oh, my family has no choice in the matter. They're indoctrinated. That's it. They're going to get the rhetoric. I've had family members say, well, why are you buying all those guns? And why are you doing all that? And I'm like, well, it's like now I can turn around and say, well, actually, I've got a pretty good shtick doing this gun thing now. But for the most part, the family element has been great. Not a lot of you know, adverse outcomes from that. And I don't know if it's just because similar opinions or just they don't want to get into a line of rhetoric with me because I'll go 10 rounds and I won't stop. So why even put ourselves through that kind of pain?
Well, you've done your research. This is not something that you're talking out of your armpits about. You actually know your stuff, right?
See, I know a little. Yeah, I know some. I spend a lot of time on it. So yeah, I don't know everything. And it's funny because I look at some people when they're testifying and I'm like, where the hell are you getting these statistics from? I'm like, how did you have that in the back of your mind? And you're just rattling off. And I'm like, I mean, if I sound like that to other people, like, that's great. I feel that's awesome. But like, you know, I'm just in awe of, you know, the professional lobbyists and, you know, but again, this is now like, what did I just say? Professional lobbyists. Some of these guys, I mean, and gals, this is their job to know that inside out and backwards.
Have you found anything that's been effective to getting through to folks who are not like-minded when you're talking that way, John?
No,
No.
absolutely not. No.
Honest answer. Okay, I appreciate it.
Yeah, somebody asked me about, well, how do we reach out to the hunting and the FUD community? And I said, it's very simple. You don't. Until somebody actually comes to take their double-barreled shotgun or single-barreled shotgun and say, you know, this is mine, you know, they're going to wake up and be like, oh, you know, because it's always, why do you need this and why do you need that? And, you know, it's a completely different dynamic. And you guys are from Pennsylvania, so you get what I'm saying. I know you do. So it's like trying to reach out to them. It's very difficult to go across that way and come up with a line of rhetoric that will stick. Again, because if you're making you have to make maybe the emotional argument. So forget the statistics, forget the facts, forget the figures, and stick with emotions. And that's why, you know, one of the programs and one of the groups that's able to stick to the facts and get the right information out there, but also appeal to the sensibilities of the emotional end is the DC Project. And these women do a fantastic job. And I don't know if you've been exposed to them any, but incredibly great messengers and advocates because they're able to get the message out. They're able to get the facts out in ways that I can't, you know, as much as I'd like to think that I'm unique, again, slightly overweight, middle-aged white guy with a beard, we're kind of dime a dozen in the gun world. So, you know, and my emotional plea is what? Like, you know, I don't have an emotional plea. I'm like, you know, here's my statistics, you know. So there's groups out there that I think really can do work that I can't. And then also it's patience. A lot of them have patience too.
Yeah.
There's also some ridiculous mindset among the anti-gun people who see somebody like you know, the big bearded white guy, and say, why does that person need a gun in the first place? You know, it's only the people who are more likely to be victimized for reasons X, Y, and Z who have a stronger need for a firearm. But when it comes down to it, a gun is a gun is a gun, right? And if you're being held up at gunpoint or if you're being held up at knife point, whatever the case may be, why do you have any less of a right to protect yourself than anybody else? Because their solution to guys like you seems to be, well, you know, go learn karate or something. Do you notice that?
Well, yeah, and I have a colleague, and it was, you know, that was talking about this, and it might have been one of the listeners, Jay Howard, from earlier today. It might have been him. I don't know. And he used to say, you know, his answer to things in life were, I could solve all my problems with these two things. And then he got a little bit older and he's like, I can no longer do that. And this guy is a tower. He's a mountain of a guy. You know, somebody I wouldn't want to tango with. I mean, I don't want to tango with anyone. That's a fact. But it doesn't matter how big you are, because that little tiny bullet can always take you out. It doesn't matter if you're 7 foot tall or you're 8 foot tall. or whatever. It's not until you get to like grizzly bear stature that it becomes a real issue. Right? You know what I mean? But the little
Yeah.
bullet could do the work. But you're correct. This is everybody's right, and it's an equalizer regardless of race, size, weight, color. It doesn't matter, and we all have that right.
The days though of throwing hands and fighting it out like men and shaking hands afterwards and going your separate ways, those days are long gone in this country, and they have been for a long time.
Well, yeah. So what did Mike Tyson say? Everybody's got a plan until they got punched in the face, right?
Right.
And there was a little bit of coming of age with getting punched in the face or getting into that fight or walking away or giving it your all and still getting your butt kicked. It's humbling, and we've been a couple generations where that has not really been going on. And what is that cycle of good times make weak men, and weak men make bad times, and bad times make strong men.
Right.
And it's a cycle. And the other cycle that we're dealing with right now too is like an 80-year cycle. So you look at that pendulum swinging. The 80-year cycle is supposed to be over right now in 2023, and it's supposed to be swinging back in I'll say our favor, in a sense of away from the we generation and back to the me generation, where the individual fundamental rights. So all of these things, I think, are interconnected. The wussification of America, that was something that you did here even in pre-2020. What was the word I'm supposed to say for the 2020 event? There's this...
so the disease is called the turnip, and that needle is called the zucchini, because otherwise you get kicked off. And if the thing that you put on your face, that's called a potato.
So before the turnip, even people were saying, we have this wussification of America, and it's not about this toxic masculinity that we're having crammed down our throats. It's just about learning about boundaries. And you learn about boundaries in the schoolyard, because if you push it too far, you do get punched in the face. Or when you're fighting or sparring and you inadvertently hurt someone, you've gone too far. And there's that whole dynamic is missing. And if we want to call that toxic masculinity, go ahead. But to me, I think it's a coming of age and really learning about and knowing what limitations are on both ends.
What you're saying is very upsetting and scary, though, John.
I mean, I did say the 80-year cycle is coming back to our favor, but usually what comes with that is cataclysmic war and a bunch of other things happen, and famine, and
sounds about right. Yeah,
and then it swings back. So since we've already gotten some of this out of the way, with having to deal with the potatoes and the zucchinis and everything else, hopefully that's it.
Well,
I don't think it is, but
that was going to be
yeah.
And that was going to be a question, and I don't want anybody to take this the wrong way, but do you think that would happen with the government and zucchini mandates and people losing their jobs and not being able to access certain places? Do you think that was a wake-up call where people were feeling like things are starting to get awful tyrannical around here?
I think it accelerated the process. I think it absolutely
do you think it accelerated in a strange way? Do you think it accelerated gun ownership too, where people saying, hey, they don't care about me, obviously. They don't care if I live or die, if I can work and feed my family. So I'm responsible for my own protection.
The NICS numbers, I mean, kind of speak for that, with the record numbers of people purchasing firearms for their self-defense. So training is at an all-time high. And that's something else that I think is great, is like non-compulsory training, training that, people just want to take is at an all-time high, and that demand is up, and also the product is out there. So if you want to take something to really learn more and more and more, you can scaffold your education on firearms and self-defense and everything like that yeah, I do believe that the zucchini and everything like that accelerated all of it.
But do you think that you're saying there may be this shift of the pendulum? Is that possible with the education system that we have and the way they're indoctrinating these kids from a very, very young age, whether it's, in school itself, or if you look at some of the things they're putting on TV right now for these kids, how it's all heavily focused on social justice and things of that nature. It's clearly one-sided and teaching them all kinds of things. Is it possible to have that shift when they're getting to them at such a young age?
One of the things that I've repeated quite a few times is, and I said it to my wife, I said, I never thought in a million years that the revolution was going to be spearheaded by a bunch of soccer moms. And when you have soccer moms being placed on FBI watch lists because they're speaking their mind and they're speaking their ideals and their ideas at just school board meetings, it's on. And these parents, and it's not just soccer moms, but I use that as a good example. Like if I had to make a flag, that's what it would be. It would be a soccer mom, carrying this banner, because when she says that's enough, that's like, it's really enough, because this is an individual that's running a whole household, that's keeping the kids in order, that's getting everyone to catechism or to Sunday school, to karate, to track, and you name it, and has no time to themselves. And for that individual to stop what they're doing and get engaged in politics and say enough is enough. Now I believe we're if we're not there, I think our momentum's going to go that way, and that's just my opinion.
We've seen some outrageous things. Of course, you won't see it on the mainstream media. You see a whole lot of it on social media, where parents show up at these meetings and they start to read the materials that their children are given in school that are pornographic in nature, I guess you could say. It's absolute ridiculousness being taught to these kids. And you wonder, if this is just the stuff they're being caught with, who knows what they're not being caught with?
Like, here's like the canary in the coal mine is like Canada, right? So what did Trudeau do? He got everyone together and was like, okay, now all the parents leave. I want to talk to the children without the parents. That's not happening on my watch. It's not happening. You're not going to do that. You're not going to Trudeau my kid. You're not going to sit there and indoctrinate my kid and tell my kid that he's not supposed to talk about this or whatever we say, and there's secrets. And a lot of it has to do with the nuclear family and being able to have that closeness and that communications. But that's the canary in the coal mine, and that's what we need to make sure doesn't happen. And that was like right in front of your face. Like that was televised.
Liberty, I got to bring you in on this because you were telling us about an experience that you had with a teacher over in New Jersey who said that they were required to keep it a secret from parents if children said something about their gender identity or something in school. Can you talk about that at all?
Yes, I recall that I don't know if it was a law or a regulation. I don't really know how far it went, but if they confided in you as a teacher about their identity, I believe that you have to keep it confidential from their parents, just like you said. So they were not allowed. And it got very confusing because this person did have kids coming in with different identities, different days. And I could not even imagine being a teacher and having to keep confidential from their parents and the kids having different identities. I mean, how confusing is that?
Yeah. So like Chris comes in one day and today he's Chris, and then tomorrow he's Christina, and then the next day he's Chris again. If the teacher says, hey, I don't know what's going on with Chris or Christina, but this is what's been happening in school, you might want to keep an eye on it, see if he's okay. That's not allowed. And their reasoning is for the safety of the student, the safety of the child. So what they're telling you by that, these public schools, is that the government knows better about what is good for your child's safety than you as the parent do. And so we're going to take that decision away from you. We're going to take that authority away from you because we know better and you don't have that opportunity. I don't know if I'm going off on a tangent here, John, but it seems relevant to what we're talking about. No,
I don't know if you're looking for a response because I don't have one. I mean, that's
is
it.
that, I guess that it's piggybacking off of what you said with Trudeau and everything like that. The government taking control and saying that, you know, they know it's much better in the interest. You changed your name to fully Christina on the screen.
You're giving all my secrets away. I told you the other day, Mike, not to talk about that on the air.
And that's just the light version. When you have Christina asking for a litter box, now we've got real problems because Christina's now identifying as a cat as well,
Right,
or you know, fill in the blank. And you know, I don't know about you guys, but I grew up in the 90s. I mean, I'm a child of the 80s, but I grew up in the 90s. Things were confusing enough with just boys and girls. I mean, that was confusing enough. I can't handle this Lola business. I can't handle it.
Yeah. And there are even people who were, you know, Democrats, people who maybe voted for Biden or voted for Hillary that are hearing some of this stuff along the lines of Bill Maher, like you're talking about, and say, you know what, I'm not down. Count me out for this stuff because this is just going too far. I think that it becomes even more egregious when you have something like that going on, and you say we must keep it a secret from the parents. The parents can't be let in on this. If that were my kid, I'd want to know. It seems like something unusual is going on here.
Yeah, especially if you have somebody that's a youth that's looking to get involved in some irreversible procedure and something that can't be done. Like, look, if this is what you want to do, again, the libertarian in me says, all right, if you want to, whatever, that's your own business. That's not mine. But there's certain things that we all go through adolescence, puberty, all the way up through and to past our mid-20s. There's a reason why you can't rent a car until you're 26. Okay, so you know, developmentally we're at a different place. So pushing this irreversible procedures maybe not the best idea with our youth, and there's got to be a more holistic approach to this. I mean, you're talking about a party of holistic medicine and feel good stuff. Why aren't we taking a holistic approach to that? I don't know. And again, I'm not going to try to stand in somebody's way that's an adult that is of sound mind that wants to do something. That's a different ball of wax. I'm talking about youth.
Yeah, it's just
what
crazy.
did you want to be when you were 8 and 9 years old?
I wanted to be like, I don't know, like a police officer. I mean, I didn't even give it any thought. Like I wanted to be whatever.
I wanted to be the Incredible Hulk, and I'm pretty glad that my dad didn't let me make any life-altering changes that were permanent. Hey, Dad, I need to get my entire skin tattooed green, and you need to start giving me DECA every couple of weeks. I need some shots. We're going to go to Jersey and get ourselves a kit.
Right. So,
there's still time, Mike. There's still time.
Yeah, so we've gone off on quite a bit of a tangent, but I think that it's an important topic that does blend into our Second Amendment rights, because the way the youth is being indoctrinated and things that are going on is going to impact what the next 10, 20, 30 years look like in terms of our struggle to keep our Second Amendment rights, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. And that's no different than the latest, you know, executive order from our sock puppet in charge, you know, trying to say, well, we need to see how marketing with the FTC and marketing of firearms to the youth and, you know, military themed marketing to everyone and all of this. It's part of their guerrilla warfare to completely dismantle, you know, the culture of it. It doesn't, we can have all of the rights in the world. We can have all of the privileges in the world. None of it matters at all if the culture is completely removed. And if there's no cultural, need or demand, it doesn't matter, right? So we're getting it from multiple fronts, obviously.
It also ties into the Second Amendment because from a very young age, I believe kids are being taught in schools, and you see this in the media, you see this in entertainment, that guns are bad, right? It's as simple as that. Guns are bad. They're not learning anything. They're not reading Decoding Firearms in schools. They're not having somebody like John go in there and teach children about firearm safety. Their approach, for whatever reason, is, we'll tell them they're bad, and then we'll shield them from it completely, which is the complete opposite approach they take to premarital relations, right? They say, oh, they're going to find out about it anyway, so we better just teach them how to do it safely and all the measures that they need to take to do it safely. Complete opposite approach. But with firearms, they say, oh, let's pretend they don't exist and just tell them that they're bad.
And the abstinence only, line of thought was not successful with sex education, and it's also not successful with firearms education. At a minimum, our youth need to be taught what to do if they find a firearm, and NRA Eddie Eagle's a great program to do that. So, and as you said, being an ostrich about this isn't helpful to our youth because, a family may not be a firearm owning family, but who's to say that the house that your child's playing at isn't a firearm owning family? And what did I just get done telling you? This isn't something that I broadcast necessarily. I don't meet somebody, say, hey, nice to meet you. I'm a gun owner, by the way. No, I'm in Jersey. I keep that to myself and I let things happen organically. And if that takes 20 years, it takes 20 years, but I don't need to broadcast that. Well, what if your child is playing at that person's house, but that person's not as responsible as they should be, and they find a firearm, right? So it really should be something that is taught in the schools, at least the bare minimum of this is what they are, this is what you do. And, I don't know. To me, abstinence only is not the way about it. Knowledge is power. And I think that's why they want to keep that out of everyone's minds, that knowledge is power. If somebody knows about something, then they might be a little bit more inclined to be interested in it.
It definitely gonna like it. We know that, right? How many people who were on the fence or weren't sure, and you had the opportunity to take them to the range, and their life changes forever?
Yeah,
I've had that experience multiple times where, hey, you've never been shooting. Let's give it a shot. Why not? Come on down with me. You're always welcome. And I have these people who thought they were anti-gun for all these years show up at the range. And an hour later, their life's never the same. They get instantly hooked.
I've had people tell me that I've ruined their lives, and I'm like, I accept that badge of honor. I will take that scarlet letter. I'm sorry, and not sorry, So it's like you said, you come back from the range. It's difficult to say I didn't have fun, and that's why I always laugh at these pieces when you have some crazed ultra leftist journalist doing an article on I shot the AR and it thundered with the force of Zeus's whatever, and it was as heavy as 10 boxes. 10 boxes of what? 10 boxes of what? 10 boxes of matches? 10 boxes of lead weights? I mean, what was it 10 boxes of? What's heavier? 10 pounds of lead or 10 pounds of feathers? 10 boxes of what? Like, come on. So it's all, to me, it's like a farce. Like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
It's a big joke.
You wonder if they even did it, They don't have videos or pictures. Like, the person didn't even go to the range. They're just making this whole experience up. Either that, there's got to be something wrong with them, right?
I was going to say, I love it when they show those clips and then they show like a 12-year-old shooting it and there's like nothing happening.
Right.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. That's a shame. I think the more people are exposed, the better off we are as a society, and the better off they are individually. Because let's say everybody were mandated to learn firearm safety, right? They said, okay, John, you're going to teach this program in Jersey where all the kids have to pass this as part of the curriculum. if somebody doesn't like it, let's say, and they decide after the fact that it's not for them, then how are they any worse off? They're better off, because if they're ever in a situation where they need to know how to safely handle a firearm for one reason or another, they have that knowledge. And if they never need to use it, great, God bless them. No big deal. They're not any worse off. I just don't understand where they're coming from with being opposed to the education.
And again, I think it's because it's that entrance drug. Once it touches your lips, I mean, it's difficult to say it's not fun and it's not great. So
I'm sure it's by design. I mean, we didn't stop teaching children how to use knives. I mean, imagine if we did that. I mentioned that on the show before. It's just ridiculous.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Don't teach them how to walk around with it. Like, all right. So the kid finds the knife and he's like, okay, do I hold it by the blade over here? Or
I should run with this.
Face it upwards and run around.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't, like they say, it just takes one generation to change things, and the removal of it from so many programs, even a lot of summer camps that used to have NRA ranges don't have ranges anymore. You don't have the programs in the schools. So, I think it's by design. You guys know.
Did you have anti-gun people reaching out to you during the pandemic because they knew that you were the gun guy?
I had some people that I did have some people that shocked me. I wouldn't say there were any glaring, like they've been red pilled. But there were plenty of people that maybe left the center. They're like, hey, I need to learn about this. And, maybe they were gun agnostic, because again, we like to put things into compartments, and just because you're left of center doesn't mean you're anti-gun. It just so happens to be that's like right of center. There's plenty of conservatives that have a hoplophobic view as well. But there wasn't any like huge example of like, wow, that pinko commie is coming to me that needs help and training. That didn't happen, but people did come out from the woodwork to get training, to get knowledge, to get information. And my phone was ringing off the hook throughout that whole time period.
And were these people that found you because you're an instructor, or were there any people who knew you were the gun guy, maybe was vocally on the other side? Or
there was a lot of that too, because of social media. They knew I was the gun guy. But then also at the same time, that's when I started plugging my book. So I was doing press releases, sending information out. This trickled into some, more mainstream media, so to say, like on a community level where it could go, right? So I did get a lot of traction through that. And then, being listed as an instructor on a website on the county level here, that helped as well. So
how was the book ultimately born?
The book was ultimately born. I was helping somebody else with their own project, and I was doing some technical editing for their book. And it was a gun-related thing. And I said to myself, I'm like, there's some things that I would have done differently than this person. And while that was going on, I was also writing my own curriculum for a class. I wanted to write a class for my local gun club. They have training requirements for you to join the club. And this was a time period when the NRA had disbanded their First Steps class, which was the 3 or 4 hour, class to just do basic familiarity. They disbanded that program. So now anybody that was joining this gun club had to do like an 8 to 10 hour class. And that was just kind of ridiculous for some of the people that were veteran shooters already. So I wrote this syllabus that was designed to be both a training class and an evaluation of knowledge. So while we're going through it, you could build, and it's designed to be like 1-on-1 or 2-on-1 and go from there. So I got done working on this other fellow's book. I finished my own class, and I said, you know what? I want to have like a handout that I could give to my students when they take my classes. So I call it like the coffee table university. And the coffee table university is, you take a class from me, I give you a piece of paper or a packet of information, you take it and you throw it on the coffee table at home. And then you might thumb through it a couple of days later. Your wife might thumb through it. Your kids might thumb through it. Your neighbor, whoever's there, and everybody's getting educated through this, piece of paper or packet or book that was thrown on the coffee table. So I said, what do I want to have in a packet for a handout? And I outlined all the subjects and all the things that I thought would be important to have a student take home with them. And when I got done doing that, I ended up with 266 pages of material, 115 original illustrations. And I'm like, this isn't a handout. This is a book, and it's a product. And then what's funny is, after the book got rolling and going, I was able to take the material that I generated from that, the illustrations and all that, and I did make a handout for the class that's kind of like a workbook, and now it's kind of like a small system where you have, a textbook, a workbook, and then your education as well. And then here's the thing: people are different types of learners, so that workbook might only be effective for 30% of the people. I don't know. There's areas to take notes, and there's sometimes I've done classes before where people are writing all kinds of notes. I've done classes before where people show up with a legal pad with 2 or 3 pages of notes because they read my book before taking a class, and they had a bunch of things that they wanted to ask about or get clarification on. And then there's people that just come in, they want to learn and shoot. They don't take any notes, and it's whatever that person's style of learning is. But I wanted to be able to make sure I could hit as many high notes as possible when I have a student, to get the material to them so that when they walk away, if they have any questions, they have something to reference, and then also keeping that line of communications open. So for me, students are always, welcome to query me until I'm in the ground. You have a question. If I don't have the answer, I'll get you an answer. And that's kind of how the book was born. It was an accident.
People in the comments are asking how they can order the book right now. I know we mentioned Amazon. Is there also a way to order it through your website if they are not members of Amazon?
Not through my website, because if I had to do that level of commerce, it would drive me crazy. So Amazon's the number one
Amazon's the way,
and then number 2, and then at the Gun for Hire website. So the Woodland Park Range Gun for Hire, you can buy it through Anthony Calandro's e-commerce store if you don't want to buy through Amazon.
Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. Is I'm going to drop the link, and I hope this gets back to Calandro. But I'm going to drop the link for Gun for Hire into the chat over here, so everybody can get to that link. If you do want to order it, all you have to do is click on that link and order it from the Gun for Hire website.
Yeah, he's got a product page.
How long have you known Anthony?
How long have you known Anthony? I started, the way I kind of got introduced to him was because I was a listener, of his podcast. And the very first article that I wrote for AmmoLand was in 2015, and it was about the recall of Steve Sweeney, when we were trying to recall Steve Sweeney, the former Senate president that Ed the Trucker, Ed the Trucker derailed him. So I was writing this article about that, and that was the first time I think I actually put hands on Anthony and said hello and met him in the flesh. I had interviewed him to be part of that article. So about 2015, but prior to that, corresponded electronically, through email and stuff. And Anthony's a great guy. I love the guy. I think what he does is tremendous for the Second Amendment, and he's got a hell of a facility.
Absolutely. I always love getting the chance to see him when we do seminars for U.S. Law Shield with Gun for Hire, and he's never been anything but totally hospitable to us and welcoming when we put those things on. It has been a while, though. Probably got to get back in touch with him, do another U.S. Law Shield seminar. We'll get you out at one of those. That would be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, I had recently, well, recently was last year. I finally made it to one of Evan's
Oh, perfect.
U.S. Law Shield ones. So, but yeah, I'm game. Absolutely. I think that's great.
So, so has anything changed for you with this book? Because it's been tremendously popular. Has anything changed, or you getting opportunities that you hadn't had previously to come around and talk to people in different parts of the country? Or, I mean, what's the work as a seaman like? You're gone for long periods of time?
So my job is I'm gone for a month and then I'm home for a month. So that
Wow.
schedule's pretty set. I have a steady job that's how it's handled. There's other people that do different things. They might be gone 3 or 4 months. That's not me. I'm gone for a month. I'm home for a month, and my schedule is pretty much planned out. So I know where I'm going to be when. And I think that the book kind of acted as a catalyst to speed up my foray into the world of firearms media and what we're doing today. I think it opened up a lot of doors in ways that I probably will never know. Right? So they say like, how many lives have been saved by the potato? Well, you never know, right?
Right.
So, how many doors got opened up from the book? I really don't know. But it brought a different level of credence to what I had going on, because I had this product that people, when they had a chance to look at it, they said, "Well, this is a decent product, and what's going on here is, pretty decent quality." I'm not saying it's perfect, because it's not perfect. I've got a whole list of errors that I might change one day, but my wife's advice is just move on to the next project. Just keep looking forward, right? And I think that's something else here that I learned, is just keep looking forward. The answer to opportunity is always yes, or it's always yes, I want to hear about it. And the book, I think, did that for me. It didn't pay off my house, uh, but you never know. One day it might.
Yeah. You've been incredibly generous with your time with us so far, and I really appreciate you joining us. Is there anything else you'd want our listeners to know about you? I've really enjoyed our conversation, by the way,
Oh,
just to throw that in there from myself.
yeah, Mike, this was tremendous. I think, when I first met you back in January, there was synergy right away. And I was like, hey, this is a cool guy. And I've
I
enjoyed the
appreciate that.
conversation as well. You've given me an opportunity to also talk a little bit outside of my main wheelhouse, which is firearms and Second Amendment. So we got to talk about some other stuff. I mean, we kept the tinfoil in the rolls. We didn't have to break it out, but we got to talk about some, we got to talk about some cool stuff here. And just about me, you can find me online. ThePenPatriot.com is my website. You can find my Facebook page is also at the Pen Patriot on Facebook. Instagram, J Petrolino, III. Twitter, John Petrolino. In a perfect world, it would all be one thing. It's not. It's all different. Linktree, link dot t Linktree. It's link tr.ee/jpetrolino III. But all this stuff is on my website, thepenpatriot.com. And moreover, probably the most important thing is, I'm always open to getting news tips. I want to hear from people. So if there's something going on, firearms related, Second Amendment related, John at thepenpatriot.com. You can send me an email directly to me. And I field emails all the time. I get back to everyone unless they're a complete crackpot.
Those are out there. I can't tell you how. Well, I'm sure you get hate mail too, right?
I've gotten some incredible, one of the stories I covered was the New York State Jewish Gun Club. They had a lawsuit against New York, along with a whole bunch of other people. I got some of the craziest anti-Semitic emails from people, and
Oh
I had,
no.
yeah, I had somebody once send in hate mail about me using non-gendered language. Well, I had somebody that was an anonymous tipster, so I kept their gender even anonymous, because I didn't want to. The person was an elected official. I didn't want to, give any indication whatsoever of who the person would have been. I got accused of being, woke and using non-gendered language, and I'm like, no, this was about trying to respect an individual's anonymous status, which I really take seriously, especially if somebody's going to give me a news tip, you know?
It's so ridiculous. It's so
Yeah.
ridiculous. You'll never make 100% of the people happy, and they'll find something to
Oh,
complain
yeah.
about. But they'll still read all of your stuff. Those are my favorite versions of the hate mail. Like, your show sucks so bad that I listen every week for all 3 hours. Like,
Oh,
okay.
my God. All right.
I hate it so much that I sit there and spend 2 or 3 hours of my life every week listening.
I'm sorry I did that to you.
It was so bad that I listened to it again. I will say that some of the worst hate mail I've gotten has been out of New Jersey, though, which is, I guess, to be expected, because there are people who are on the other side politically in New Jersey more than here in Pennsylvania.
And I did stipulate that if I'm not as polite as I should be, don't forget that I am from the other side of the Delaware. So a certain level of, you know, maybe attitude or whatever definitely is alive and well in the Garden State.
There was another listener who commented, I didn't want to let you leave without reading this. Front Sight Training PA says, John, do you have plans to write another book?
Yes, absolutely. I don't know what it is yet, but I'm going to do one. Because I've thought about doing like Decoding Firearms, the next generation, maybe, you know, and, you know, taking that instead of a 101 level, maybe do Decoding Firearms, how to clean your gun, something of a biblet. Or I don't know if I'm going to go more academic. I don't know. There are more books in me. I just don't know which one's going to come out next or when. I should figure that out. But if you have any ideas, email me. I'll happily steal it.
To be continued on that one. And you're going to have to come on the show to announce it when you do come up with it. How does that sound?
That sounds great.
Hey, you hear that? Philly Chris, he promised. You're going to have to kidnap him if he doesn't. He's going to get
We're going to hold him to
it. One last question that I wanted to ask you before. With your job being a seaman, is that a profession where people are friendly towards firearms in general, or do you have coworkers and colleagues who are anti-gun?
There are some anti-gun. The thing that's kind of unique about where I'm at is I'm working in the Gulf of Mexico, so I'm dealing with most of your Texas, Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama people.
Gotcha.
So trying to find somebody that's not at a minimum gun agnostic from those areas is difficult. But every so often you'll find somebody that's a anti-gun liberal wacko, as I like to call them, or some sort of a pinko commie. That's the other term. It's a real pinko. I'm angry if I'm calling them a real pinko. And that's like, I got my friends from like New Hampshire, live free or die. I love my people from New Hampshire. This is a hat tip to my New Hampshire people. They got some real pinkos up there, but a lot of them seem to love guns. So you're my friend,
Right. Yeah, that's what it all comes down to. I will say this, that I did a seminar, I believe it was in South Jersey one time a few years ago. And I remember standing around in a circle during the break, and we were talking guns. It was me, a couple of Italian guys, a bald transgender person. We had black people, Hispanic people, Asian people, and a few of it were just standing around talking guns. And I was thinking in my head, the leftists will claim that this doesn't exist, right? That this could never possibly happen because gun people are all racist and
xenophobes,
hateful people, right?
Yeah,
they're all hateful people, and they're all bigots. They were all prejudiced, and they only want old white guys hanging around. And when it comes down to it, if you're truly in the Second Amendment community, you know that all the people care about is, are you on the side of the Second Amendment? And that's it.
That whole 64 pack of crayons knocked over on the floor, all of them together, not killing each other. Imagine that.
Seriously,
and that's, it's And it's true, because gun people are some of the best people out there. And what other classification of human being is going to be at a range with their $600, $700, $800 gun, and say to the guy next to him, say, hey, you want to try this out, and then give him $40 worth of ammunition to give it a shot. And I don't even know this guy, but he just complimented me and my firearm, like, you want to shoot it,
Right.
What other hobby is like that,
Some of the most friendly people in the world. So if you're out there and you're listening and you've never given it a shot, you've been on the fence, even if you've been against it, I recommend you give it a shot. You'll be surprised. John, I've had a blast, brother. I appreciate you stopping
This was
in
great.
with us.
And
we
we
hope
might
to have it
actually
again
get,
soon.
yeah, absolutely. This was great. And the next time we do it, maybe we'll get to our agenda. We didn't even get to our agenda today. So to me, this is a successful first date.
Perfect. We'll do it again. We'll do part 2 coming soon. All right.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks, John.
Thanks,
there
John.
he is, ladies and gentlemen. John Petrolino, the Pen Patriot. Click that link in the chat section. Grab his book, Decoding Firearms. You need it. Got to have it. Excellent guest. Philly Chris, anything to say?
Sorry about the mic issues there. Hopefully it sounds better. Sound any better?
You sound terrible.
You sound far away.
Really? Oh, gosh.
Yeah, you sound terrible. I see Russ, the producer, is on now.
Oh, is he
Russ,
here?
the producer,
What?
on?
Yeah.
Where?
Is he here?
I see Russ, the producer.
He popped in.
Yeah, allegedly.
Allegedly.
Russ, the producer, is
Allegedly.
back.
That was a great interview.
Yeah, really
He's
good.
like George
That was great.
Costanza. He's fired, but he's still showing up.
Right. He's got his red stapler down the basement.
So, Chris, I know that you made the big prediction last week, and we had that video come out, but we didn't publicly talk about your prediction for this week.
No, not yet.
I do want to talk about it, though,
Okay.
because even though it wasn't out there, I've got to give you some level of credit, okay?
Thank you.
So I think it was Friday, right? We were talking on text.
Yeah, the day after the show, I think it was.
Or
Yeah.
in the group text.
Mm-hmm.
And Philly Chris says something along the lines of, guys, something major is going to happen on Wednesday. I'm not sure what it is, and it might not be on Wednesday. And I said, what the heck kind of a prediction is that? Something major, not sure what it is. It's going to be on Wednesday, but might not be on Wednesday.
Right.
It's like, huh? What did you just say?
Yeah, I didn't want to be
you
wrong.
even
I
say
guess.
anything right there? Like, all right, whatever, man.
Right.
And then I was talking to Stack, and I was saying, you're never gonna believe this, because Stack is very pro Philly Chris. You know that, right?
I love Stacks.
Stack's
Hey, now.
very
Hey,
pro.
now, Stacks, hey, now.
He's very pro Philly Chris
think we're
and
on the same
predictions,
wavelength,
and here's
yeah.
what's really going on. And so I
appreciate
said,
that.
you're never gonna believe this, but I've got to give him credit for it. Chris makes this nonsense bogus prediction, and sure enough, they were saying Trump was going to be arrested on Tuesday,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
And then on Tuesday, what happened?
They changed it to Wednesday.
They changed it to Wednesday. They said that the proceedings weren't taking place until Wednesday. Now, with some information that came out during these grand jury proceedings, surprisingly calling into the question Michael Cohen's character, right?
Yeah. Surprise.
Incredibly surprising. But they ended up on Wednesday coming out and saying that the proceeding that was supposed to take place on Wednesday was canceled.
Mm.
So I guess technically that can be a major thing. That could be considered a major thing. The
Right.
fact that they had to cancel the proceedings, they didn't say why. We don't exactly know why.
Mhm.
But I think that's pretty major.
Yeah, definitely some interesting things in the news. again.
So I'll give you that one. I know I'm
Right, thanks.
entirely critical of your predictions.
Right.
And if I don't think you get it, I don't give it to you.
Yeah, you're good like that. No, you're good like that.
But I think you got this one. I think
All
you
right,
get
well,
credit
thanks,
for
man.
this one.
Thanks.
The ruling on the field is it's good.
We're gonna have a ref. Oh my
Just
god.
inside the line, right?
It's good.
Yeah, definitely more of a gut feel on this one, but
The fact that it was going to be on Wednesday,
what's that?
the fact that it was going to be on Wednesday was a gut feeling.
Yeah, well, just the fact that it was going to be this week, and kind of had to do with the date 3/22 and some significance there, and just some other things I was reading about, and sort of a gut feel there, which
I feel bad. John's not on anymore. He just wrote into the chat. He said the bank was a total Babe Ruth moment. I feel like, oh, come back on, talk about the banks now, because we're talking about everything but guns.
Hey, what happened?
What was that?
That's-
Yes, it sounds like the
gotta be
Pen
right.
Patriot is on the same page about a lot of things, and he says it very eloquently. So we're a little wild and can face suppression. So it sounds like we
He's
should have the Pen
definitely-
Patriot back
he's
on.
definitely an incredibly articulate and well-spoken
Right.
gentleman, and it was good talking to him. But
Yeah,
but the fact that he mentioned the bank in the comments, I'm like, oh man, we could have talked about that. Bring him back on.
Yeah.
have him back. Yeah.
I wonder if he saw
That's Philly Chris calling his
prediction
shot on
bait.
the banks. Yeah, that's what he's talking about.
Oh,
I saw
okay,
him that bank video where
I thought it was
Chris
a
says
baseball.
it, and it was like the next.
I
Well,
didn't-
Babe Ruth famously
Well,
called his shot. There's
okay.
He
it's
like
in-
pointed, right? He pointed.
I figured I missed
Yeah, and
something.
they're-
So I just went with it.
there are conflicting stories as to whether that actually took place,
Mhm.
but that's how the legend goes that he called his shot, hit it out.
But Philly Chris, something did happen Wednesday. Like I guess that, I forgot who it was, but I think Cohen's former attorney came out with this. He was the one who went to the grand jury
Oh, right.
and had all these documents that apparently they cherry picked.
Yeah.
Only 6 out of like 600. Don't quote me on that, but they cherry picked. So they're accusing Bragg of cherry picking, and then they're Republicans are going after saying that's wrong and you should be charged for what you're doing. And so it was just a total disaster. But I feel like Wednesday was when it all came to a head. So
Yeah.
I'm giving Philly Chris that one too. And I get excited when Philly Chris makes predictions. Like my whole
Now,
week has
you
changed.
gotta- to
I'm
put
like
it into
waiting.
context, though, to put it into context, this isn't a trial where it's beyond a reasonable doubt and
Yeah.
all those rules apply and everything. You have to understand that at this stage, there's a very, very low burden. I want to say the Commonwealth, because that's what I'm used to saying in court,
Mhm.
but it's the government. The government has a very, very low burden. In Pennsylvania, we don't typically get these cases kicked off by way of grand jury. Sometimes you'll see it in a more high profile case like the Catholic priests, right, or Sandusky or something like that. But typically it'll be by way of preliminary hearing, but you've got that same kind of standard. The standard is that they're responsible for presenting some evidence that a crime was committed and that the defendant was the one that did it. Doesn't have to be beyond a reasonable doubt. It's not a trial. They're not showing innocence or guilt. It's just, can this go to the next stage?
Mhm.
So people have to understand what, procedurally where this is first. But also, if there are these things that the prosecutor's leaving out and they legitimately know they don't have a case at the next level, because this gentleman's testimony that Liberty's talking about, it seems to indicate that Cohen is seriously a liar. I mean, he's a convicted liar as it is. But if, he's going to have those kinds of credibility problems, or if there's evidence that what he's supposed to testify to in order to meet their burden when they get downtown, then the prosecutor's got an issue, because ethically, an attorney can't put somebody on the stand that they know is going to lie.
Mhm.
Oh.
And that's why, as a defense attorney, sometimes you're very strategically asking questions, right?
Makes sense. Yeah.
They don't have to tell you everything.
Right.
Maybe you don't want to know everything for very specific reasons.
Right.
So if this Bragg guy's got information that shows that what he had hoped Cohen would testify to is going to be a lie, then he could be in jeopardy of losing his license if he proceeds like that.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But what isn't these days?
Yeah.
It's all ridiculous.
I was talking to Liberty about this too,
Hmm?
because you have a lot of lawyers going on and talking about the statute itself. And I've got a very cursory understanding of what this case is all about. But they come up there and they talk like they're experts on it. And they're like, oh, well, this guy's a lawyer, so he knows. They don't do that kind of law. Liberty was like, Ted Cruz is coming on. I was like, why do they have Ted Cruz coming on to talk about this New York criminal case?
Right.
And she was like, he's a lawyer. I was like, he's an international corporate lawyer. What are you talking about?
And a lot of people think lawyers just know everything.
100%. That
Ted
Chris
Cruz wrote a column about it.
Chris, that was literally 100% the point that Liberty made. That people think lawyers just know a lot about everything. Lawyers just know everything. And I've got a buddy, Manny McMahon, who when he would get,
he's like MIA.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's MIA.
But he would get into fights with his parents about the most random thing and call me up to like settle the score and be like, Mike's an attorney.
Right.
I'm like, what do I know about a good price of plumbing? I go, come on. It's the most random thing. I just know everything. Frankly, most lawyers don't even know enough about areas of law where they don't practice.
Well, it's so
they're not qualified to talk about it.
You can say that again. Doctors too.
Doctors too, 100%. I mean, I would respect the doctor so much more if they weren't able to fix your issue, whatever it was, for them to just say, listen, this is really not in my wheelhouse. I don't know if I've got any colleagues who could help you out, but I'm going to take a look into it. Hopefully I could set you up with somebody who deals with this and could get you squared away.
A reasonable answer,
A reasonable answer, instead of claiming like they know exactly what's going on and, what you've got going on is made up. Like there's no reason why your hip's hurting or your knees hurting or whatever.
Yeah.
And they'll make a suggestion based on that. And a lot of times, I hate to say it, but it's the doctors at the prestigious and the lawyers. Like the more prestigious, it's like their ego gets so big that they cannot take being wrong, and therefore it must be you. Don't get me started on this. I will shut up because I will talk forever.
I ever tell you about the time I went up against the guy who went to Harvard?
No, tell him.
No, I'd love to hear it.
Government attorney went to Harvard.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they think that's intimidating or whatever. And somehow it came up in the conversation. He might have asked me where I went to school so he could tell me where he went to school.
Of course.
It might have been like that, remember?
Right. Yeah.
So, and where you go to school? Tulsa. Where'd you go to school? He said, Harvard. I said, really?
Like, oh, where's that?
That's what I said. I said, I kid you
No,
not.
you did not.
I kid you not. I said, never heard of it. Where is that? It's like, is that 4-year school? Is it on?
They
is
credit
like online? Is that online or? Do you get your degree at a Cracker Jack box? Is that place accredited?
That's great.
So
that's a great comeback. Yeah.
Harvard.
Anyway, but they people think that lawyers just know everything, doctors know everything. That the extent, and I didn't have the exact experience that I'm suggesting, so I don't want anybody to think that I'm talking about something specific or somebody specific.
Yeah.
But for example,
I am.
What,
no, I'm just kidding.
when I had Tommy John surgery, it went from the initial doctor saying you definitely need Tommy John. I went in looking for a cortisone shot so I could be ready for my doubleheader that weekend. I said, listen, we're on the road.
Wow.
Said, I need to get a shot. I'm having some pain. I need to be able to play this weekend. I think we had double headers on both days. And often I would come in and close multiple games. And we were in a playoff run. It was important. He took a look at me, did an evaluation, said, dude, I think you need Tommy Johns. So I went back home because we were in Connecticut. Went back home, saw one of the team doctors, and he said he didn't think it was Tommy John. So he sends me to a nerve doctor. So I go to a nerve doctor. Nerve doctor looks at it, says, well, yeah, your ulnar nerve is definitely off the track, but I think you also need Tommy John.
Okay, well, there you go. There you go.
And then so he said, I know a guy who worked with Dr. Andrews for many years, who works in all the big leaguers. He said, you need to go visit with this guy. And I visited that guy. He said, oh, you definitely need Tommy John. So you go back and forth with stuff like that. And it would be nice if that second guy, because imagine if I didn't get it because he told me I don't need Tommy John, if I didn't go see this other guy.
Yeah, right.
That could have been a problem.
Your nerve could have snapped in half.
Yeah, all kinds of things. You have permanent nerve damage, right?
Yeah, no good.
So
anytime a lawyer or a doctor tells you that they know everything or tries to tell you something that they don't know,
it means they're an idiot.
red flag. Anybody
That's what it means. It means they're an idiot.
Anybody who's smart will say, if they don't know, they say, okay, let me pause and let me look into this. And
as long as they say it's safe and effective, I'll trust them.
I had this person I was talking to recently at my office, and they said, oh, well, I'm glad we got a hold of you because I spoke to this other attorney and they told me that this wouldn't be possible. And it's like, what business does that guy have telling you that? Because obviously he didn't know what he was talking about.
Yeah, just don't say anything.
Just
it's
say,
okay
listen.
to say you're not sure.
I said, if you would have called me and said, Mike, I got this tax law problem, and I really need help, can you help me out? I wouldn't just say, oh, taking a look at this, there's nothing you could do about it. I'd say, listen, I'm not a tax lawyer. I really don't know about this stuff. I'm really not qualified to be giving you sound advice. You don't want my advice on this.
Yeah.
But I do know a guy who knows this stuff inside and out, and you're going to want to give him a call. And he's the one who you want to give business to. Not, give me $400. We'll talk about it, and I'll tell you, there's nothing you could do about your tax problem.
Well, the other day when I asked you if you could amortize vehicle expenses under the generally accepted accounting principles over 5 years, you said yes.
I said, call your dad.
Right. And Mike G said this was okay.
I said, hey, let me call your dad and ask him. Hold on a second.
Right, exactly. Well, the code, everything's so ridiculously complicated now, and I mean, the experts
don't mess with it.
Is it? Do you guys think it's ego, or that they get out of touch with, and also everybody listening? Do you think it's more ego, or that they've just out of touch? Because I think it takes a special person to.
I think it's stupidity.
I want to say one thing. Philly Chris had said something, and it has been like the mantra of like my last few months. And he just said, I don't know if I'm quoting it correctly, but not a lot of people will, if you're falling off a cliff, not a lot of people will reach over and risk falling with you or risk helping you if it means they're going to fall too. Philly Chris, say it correctly.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, okay. That's you.
And it was just so true. It was like, if somebody is going to risk, even just their ego for basics, like anything, they're, not a lot of people will go that extra mile for you, or even if it's just your ego saying, I don't know. And that's really sad. And a lot of people are left needing help after the damage somebody else does. It's really sad.
Yeah. And it's more that way now. I think back, years ago, or when I was younger, people were more comfortable with acknowledging that maybe they didn't know, or they could look into it. But nowadays it just seems like everybody wants to be right or be the expert or whatever it is.
And everybody's saying things have changed since COVID or since turnip. I don't know if that's true or not. I mean, I understand there's burnt out in the medical field for sure. Everybody's burnt out, but I have noticed lately even more that there's specialties, subspecialties. Like everybody will just do one tiny little thing. Like they won't even touch something else. So it's like really difficult to get help if you're in, kind of a nuanced situation. I don't know if it's legal from being afraid of getting sued, or if it's everything that happened with the turnip. I don't know. And also, I mean, Philly Chris,
legally, you'd be better off to just say, this is not my area.
Right.
I'm not qualified to help you.
Yeah, well, it seems like people just they're very confused about what's right anymore, unfortunately,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. Same with the
talk amongst
turnip.
yourselves.
What did he say?
Said talk amongst yourselves.
Oh, what did you see the news lately? It's just more. I guess some committee was questioning the turnip. Was it the turnip or the other one? Wait, the zucchini or the turnip? Which one's which?
Well, the turnip is the actual disease, and then
Okay,
the zucchini is.
so the zucchini. They're saying that they were asking questions. I don't know if it was Rand Paul, I think, was on some kind of Senate committee, and he was asking questions about, was there more incidences of can we say the other one, myocarditis?
I think so.
Among young men, and
Right.
the guy dodged the question and kind of said, no, there's more instances of myocarditis with you getting the turnip. But apparently, I don't know if that was, he was dodging the question or saying something false. I don't remember, but Ron Paul did a big interview about it saying it wasn't true what he was saying, or he wasn't admitting something.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, people have really allowed their political beliefs to sway their belief system, I guess. I don't know if that's the right way to put it, but they're allowing their political leanings to change the way that they respond to those types of questions and the way they answer them, and it's really clouding the topic, and it just shows you where we are as a country with all the division, obviously. But that should really be separate. Your personal opinion, especially as a professional, should be completely out of it. There should be empirical, scientific data and evidence to support it. But, we're so far from that anymore.
Yeah, you're right.
Unfortunately, yeah. I mean, a lot of professionals
say that a lot.
Yeah. I mean, the experts are, who's the expert these days? To me, I think you just need to look in the mirror and be your own expert. Make up your own mind and decide for yourself. Don't tell anybody else what to do. But too many people, especially on the left-leaning side of things, feel that they're the authority on what you're supposed to do and what's best for you. So,
hi guys.
Hey,
absolutely.
Who's that? Welcome to the show.
Who's that?
What do you mean? Who's that? It's Russ.
I actually thought it was Russ for a second.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Russ, are you there?
Are you back from the microwave, Russ?
That's right.
I'm confused. Who is doing that?
We need to get him use that soundboard more often. I'm not popping back on camera. I'm enjoying watching the Philly Chris show.
Oh, there we go.
It's like the ghost of Mike G. It's like voices in the background of Philly Chris.
Yeah, no, I like it. We need more sound effects.
When I do the outro, I need you to lip sync for it, okay?
Oh, okay. No problem.
Well,
that's about all the time we have.
There we go.
Shut up.
Wait, before we go there, I don't know if are we ending it now, or did you have more?
Why, do you have another topic?
I wanted to at least talk about the RD interviews.
Which ones?
Ron DeSantis.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna get kicked off for using his name.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I feel like I can't
that we
anything.
feel like we have to be careful about.
I'm just abbreviating everything from now on. What's LGB?
Let's go, Brandon.
Oh, I was like, what is that?
I was having fun.
I want to hear actually the listeners' opinions, because I know everybody saw Ron DeSantis doing interviews this week after the whole Trump thing, Stormy Daniels, all that, the whole grand jury thing. I would like to know if anybody has a stronger or less strong opinion of Ron DeSantis.
Don't we have something in the doc that needs to be shown?
I had a few things in there, but I figured
I believe that there's a special photo that's in the doc.
Those are something.
A listener got a hold of this photo.
Oh, really? What's that?
What?
A listener got it's a very exclusive photo. Liberty, I think you said you put it in the doc.
Oh, yeah, you got to scroll down under Russ.
What is it? Uh-oh.
Yeah, under Russ.
Oh, how do we do it?
Is Russ still there?
I don't even think Russ is there.
Was he ever here?
I didn't think he was ever there.
Well, where do you think that stuff from the soundboard's coming? That's not me. The soundboard stuff.
Nasty.
Yeah, that's the soundboard stuff is not me.
I thought that was you, Mike.
That's not me. That's
Nope,
not I. I keep saying not me. The correct thing is not I. It is not I.
Well, is Russell even? Is he like? wanting to go to the document and?
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't think we're gonna get kicked off for using his name.
It's not.
It's not. I don't think we're gonna get kicked off for using his name. It's not. I don't think we're gonna get kicked off for using his name. It's not. I don't think we're gonna get kicked off for using his name. It's not. I don't think we're gonna get kicked off for using his name. It's not. I don't think we're gonna get kicked off for using his name. It's not. I don't think we're gonna get kicked off for using his name. It's not. I don't think we're gonna get kicked off for using his name. It's not. I don't think we're gonna get kicked off for using his name. It's not. I don't think we're gonna get kicked off for using his name. It's not. I don't think we're gonna get kicked off for using his name. It's not. I don't think we're gonna get kicked off for using his name. It's not. I don't think we're gonna get kicked off for using his name. It's not. I don't think we're gonna get kicked off for using his
Scroll down.
No, but
under
if he gets
Russ.
to that, we can close on that. But why don't you talk about
Oh
he
man.
who shall not be named? Apparently,
I don't know if I
Right.
should get my opinion yet. I don't know. I thought about it a lot.
a lot of people have soured on him. I'll
Oh
say
man.
I'll talk about what a
Oh,
lot of
man.
people think about it. A lot of people are not happy.
Everything shall not be named.
Ooh, I am not happy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not happy. I saw that interview, and it's not like I'm dying. I mean, no, well, maybe I am.
I heard about it, but I haven't.
I
seen
call
it.
Uncle Trump, so there's that.
There you go.
But
Welcome
yeah,
back,
his
Mike.
interview, it like stopped me in my tracks, and I like text everybody. I'm like, I am not voting for Ron DeSantis, but I guess if it's against Joe Biden, then I would have to. But it's like the Mitt Romney thing. Like I would do it only because I have to. I'm sorry. I'm against him now.
Would you though? Would you though? If he runs, Trump can very easily.
I'm all about loyalty. Okay.
Trump will run as a third party
Uh-huh.
and
Yeah.
just sink the ship.
Yeah.
I was so disheartened by
DeSantis might be able to beat Biden or whoever they run out there. He's not beating Biden plus Trump. He's not. It's not happening.
What
He
did
just
you
has one
say?
third party? It's
I
over.
was so disheartened by his interview when he really, if this whole thing, you have to connect it out so much with this grand jury thing in Stormy Daniels going back those years and everything else going on in the country. And now they're like connecting these dots over here and over here to get to charging Donald Trump with this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then Ron DeSantis knows that. Everybody in the Republican Party, this committee, everybody knows that. Yet Ron DeSantis like teetered the line and was kind of like, me. Like, I don't know. He couldn't like stand against it. You know what I mean? It was kind of like Dr. Oz and the abortion thing. He was like teetering the line. No, like we should be against somebody politicizing the office like that. That's the prosecutorial office. Like that's not right. And I didn't like that he didn't stand against it. It kind of showed his true colors. And I hate to be like that, but honestly, the loyalty aspect of that, I'm done.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen from Liberty. He's done.
Liberty's and never DeSantis.
Right.
Is he going to be like a cheap imitation of Trump if he tries to run? Or is he going to try to call himself the Ronald? Or
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe
you're
I'm
going to
just
see him like coloring his hair. He's going to get like a new haircut. And,
Right.
I
and a
didn't
little
like
bit of a tan.
Yeah, he'll start tanning a lot. Yeah.
And also the other thing was him saying, well, I don't know about that whole, I don't know anything about, the Stormy or having that in my life. And it kind of came across as
What do you say?
than
Like,
now.
I never had an affair with a porn star or something?
Yeah, and I hate to say it because it is extreme. I don't know what the heck Trump's doing in his personal life, but I think if we're going to, all sin is the same. Hold on. All sin is the same. So for him, it did come across like, yes, there's something to be said for you look up to doing the right thing by the Bible and doing that. And but I like a person who is flawed, and Jesus hung out with the sinners. And I feel like I relate more to Trump. I don't know. I don't relate to that. It's on Ron DeSantis. I am not condoning anything, everybody.
Yeah. Well, he's not doing himself any favors, I guess.
What were you saying, Chris? Liberty would not let you speak.
I forget now. My
Sorry.
personality's kicking in. Yeah.
The comment was about at least I didn't have an affair with a porn star.
Oh, I believe actually she later publicly stated that it never happened. Right? I'm pretty sure that happened.
I remember seeing a letter that was sent to
Something on my
TMZ apparently, but it was weird because it was signed. It wasn't like a legal document or anything like that. It was signed Stormy Daniels. It wasn't signed whatever her real name is.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. There was something about it though. I thought.
But it was like we denied it back then. We denied it last year and the year before, and
something just popped up on my phone. I think yesterday about it. I saved it. It was on CNBC, January 31st, 2018.
Right.
Then they
That sounds right.
updated it.
2018 sounds right.
Yeah, and it said amid public tour, porn star Stormy Daniels denies having an affair with Trump. But then again, it's CNBC, so I don't know.
I really don't remember the Stormy Daniels timeline as to when things were coming out about that during the Trump presidency.
Yeah.
The timeline of his presidency is kind of tough. I mean, obviously, turnip season is something that sticks out. You
Mhm.
kind of know the dates
Right.
on that. But everything before that, it was just attack after attack after attack after
crazy.
attack from the
It's
minute
crazy.
that he got in to try to
Yeah.
get him out of there, whether it was the Mueller report, right?
Right.
Exactly. That's what I feel. That's the response to DG saying for you don't think Trump being under attack so much is a distraction though too for the country to move forward. Well, I just think that he's not cowering to all the attacks, and I think it's like that shows like a courage, like
Can't let him win.
taking personal hits. I mean, of
I've
course, I think he likes it. I
heard
think
people
he's
say
flawed.
that they did not necessarily want to vote for him, and then once they saw what they're doing to him in New York
Mm-hmm.
and the support that they're getting for it, they're
Yeah.
definitely voting for him.
Mm,
They're excited to vote for him
it's
because
like,
there's something about an underdog like that, right? Somebody who you feel like is getting a raw deal, like you want him to win.
yeah,
True.
Yeah.
That's true.
kind of how I feel. Yeah, exactly. But
They're
hey, I'm
making
not
it.
gonna hate on anybody who still likes RD, but not for
RD.
me.
You're
RD, not
gonna
for
give
me.
him the time of day, but you're not even going to say his name. We're just call him the Ronald. Call him the
RD,
Ronald.
not for me. RD, not for me.
Ronald McDonald DeSantis.
No, that's probably what I'll come up with actually. Very great.
Ronald
you-
McDonald, ladies and gentlemen.
But can you guys speak on it? How you both feel?
About DeSantis?
Yeah, just about the whole week about the indictment or DeSantis. Curious because there's been a lot of news.
on me, ladies and gentlemen. Ronald McDonald, they call him. People are saying he's a very disloyal person, very disloyal.
I'm the one who buys McDonald's for everyone, not him.
It is true.
We'll see if he starts buying everybody fast food.
I feel like Chris is rock popping and socking over there with those little ding ding ding.
Having fun. Having a good
Popping
time.
mic.
Oh, is my mic popping?
Only for the
Kind of like-
last like 2 months.
For the- What was
Sorry.
that?
I gotta get a new mic.
Russ,
I'm gonna keep Mike G, but I need a different.
Where is that, Russ?
what does RD stand for?
That's what Liberty kept calling Ron DeSantis, so I just threw
Oh.
that
Oh,
in there.
the Ronald.
Too bad we can't make it to the leadership. We got invited to the leadership conference this weekend in Pittsburgh.
Well, guess who's the guest speaker on
Yeah,
Saturday?
yeah, it would've been
Oh
interesting to
shoot!
meet
I
us.
just really, oh no.
Liberty, you could have met him in person, you know.
I'm glad this wasn't on. This part is not on the radio because Susan
Yeah,
would
it's not
probably
on
get rid of me.
WFYL.
Yeah, right.
WFYL.
I would show up with like a red face.
We're all boycotting the leadership conference because the Ronald
yeah,
McDonald
exactly.
is going to be there.
I mean, there's still a lot of things I like about him, but you know, whatever.
You
I mean,
guys can
Trump-
like him. I know I'm going to be in the minority about this, but
I mean, comparing him to
I don't think you are. I'll be clear. I don't think you are going to be in the minority. I think a lot of people feel that way.
I'm bold about it.
No, a lot of people have turned on him, I think, you know, but he's doing it to himself. You know?
Yeah. All he's going to do is stay out of the way.
Exactly. You know,
Yeah, and I would definitely say more personality things.
And you know what's funny? What is funny about it? If we're going to be objective about this, though, what is kind of funny about it is Trump's been attacking him for a minute, right?
hmm
Called him like the sanctimonious and all this other stuff. And we don't quite mind Trump making fun of him and calling him names, but the minute he starts saying stuff back, we're like, screw that guy.
There is a lot of truth in that. Yeah.
No,
But it goes
It's
to
something
the-
about the
No, no, no,
Donald,
no.
man.
It's
No,
It's something
banter.
about the Donald.
well,
Banter is different, but standing up against a serious thing going on, I
Okay,
don't know.
that's fair.
Unless he
That's fair.
truly feels, it's warranted.
No,
I don't
that's
think
fair.
Trump's personal life and all this crazy stuff with Cohen. I mean, I
You
don't
know
think
what
it
was
stands up.
so wild though is the people who are saying, you know, we don't care how much of a stretch it is to charge him, and you know, we don't care how minor of a charge is. You have to follow the law, whether the ex-president or not, because nobody's immune. It's like, do you realize the crimes that are on the record that Hunter Biden has committed that he's clearly not been prosecuted for because of his dad's name? You know?
Yeah. I mean, how many things, if you were to list it out, and major, like the gun stuff too? It's just crazy.
Wait,
You know,
what did DeFinland put in the comments? What is
I don't know
that?
what they put in
No,
there.
read
The
below
definition of sanctimonious, because he was calling the sanctimonious. It's a sanctimonious
yeah, and that-
derogatory,
yeah,
making a show of
that's-
being morally superior to other people.
That's what I felt. That's kind of what I felt like. He felt like he was morally superior. Like, I mean, did he curse in the morning, or did he, I don't know, did he anger too quickly? I mean, there's so many sins that are all just a sin, the same, according to our beliefs. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I think Trump has come around a lot of topics, and I like him. And then I'll just pull a liberal. I like his personality too. I relate way more to him. I would sit at a dinner table with Trump rather than DeSantis. I feel like I'd have to fix my hair and be perfect. Trump, I could be myself. I could talk about stuff. I can have a good time. So
You're perfect the way you are, Liberty.
Thanks, Billy. There you go.
Do you know where Ronald McDonald went to law school?
No.
Georgia law?
I'll give you a hint. I've never heard of it.
Harvard.
That is correct.
Oh my gosh, it all makes sense now.
It's all coming together. Love it when a plan comes together.
He's an Ivy League guy.
It all makes sense.
Yeah. I don't know. I've worked with some of those Ivy League
Trump
people.
went to Penn, right?
Yeah, I believe it did.
I would love to see
Wharton
Trump
for
at Penn
business school, right? Wharton.
with those personalities. Oh my gosh. Because he don't care. He's like the lady in Titanic who came into New Money. I loved that lady. Out of all the like thumb up people or pinky up, whatever, and then that lady comes, she's New Money. I always think of her, like, out of everybody, that's the personality I relate to more, rather than I don't know.
Yeah, people can definitely relate to him better.
It's very few and far between people go to Ivy Leagues and keep that really down to earth attitude.
Yeah,
it can go to your head, and Trump is one of the few people who really didn't let it go to his head. I mean, he'll go, like I'm saying, like he'll go and talk to the guys with dirt on their outfits and stuff. I know my stepdad, he goes on his lunch break and he goes to this place to go get, a sandwich, and he would go with like soot and all the stuff from his chemical job to get a sandwich. And these business guys are there and they would just look down on him. He would always tell me that story. And that's not right.
Right.
That's the feeling I get.
Right.
Now, I don't want to judge him. That is judging him literally, but it just reminds me of that.
That was either Taco Bell or the intro to Hell's Bells.
It did sound like Taco Bell.
That's got to be the I recognize that tone. The pitch has got to be from Taco Bell.
It sounds
I can tell the difference. We should play a game one time because
we should. Yeah.
I bet you I can distinguish the bells from Taco Bell, the intro to Hell's Bells, and the intro to Metallica for Whom the Bell Tolls. I bet you I could pick which one is which.
Yeah, that was
just by
pretty
hearing
good.
the tone of the bell.
You picked up on that pretty good. Hell's
That's a gong. Dude, funny story about a gong before we go. Chris, you seem to like when I tell these old high school stories.
I love those
like
the old
that.
high school stories. I'm going to sit back and
funny
listen.
story about a gong. So I got stuck in the percussion section of the symphony when I was in high school. Reason being, we were all told, like the guitar players and the bass players and stuff were told that we should join band before our freshman year because the old band teacher would find stuff for us to do as guitar players and everything like that. Well, he's gone after like day one. I forget what it was, but he was gone very quickly. And they brought in this guy who was totally legit. He actually played the trumpet for the Godfather waltz in the movie.
Oh, cool.
So that trumpet part you hear when you think of the Godfather.
Yeah.
That's my high school music teacher.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
But when he came in, he's like, no, there's no guitars and stuff in this band anymore. And everybody's going to learn to do something else. So I remember they took the bass players, they made them tuba players. It took certain players, made them learn a French horn. Like everybody had to do something new in order to make a complete band. And I got stuck playing the bass drum. For whatever reason, it was assumed that I knew how to read music. I totally did not. So I faked it for 4 years. And when you're in the percussion section, there are different things you have to do. One song called for a gong, and they had just brought in this gong. It was a new piece of equipment. Never had done anything with it before. And this guy, George, was in charge of the percussion section. Very, very good drummer. He'd play the lead snare, and he would kind of instruct us on what to do because he knew how to play everything. And then a drummer for his entire life, basically. And so when the gong comes in, we're in the middle of the song is being played for rehearsal, and this gong part's going to be coming up in the song. So he says, okay, you got to take the gong. And I was like, I've never done this before. I don't know what to do. So he gives me this huge mallet, and he says, when, I'll kind of give you a heads up, and then when the conductor points to you, I want you to hit that gong like you're swinging a baseball bat. And I was like, are you sure? And he was like, yeah, just swing it like you're swinging a baseball bat. And keep in mind, I'm like,
You know how to swing a bat.
I'm a pretty high level ball player at that time.
I hope you destroyed the whole.
So the point in the song, he like gives me a tap on the shoulder to be ready. Mr. Lorenzano points to me with the wand, and I swing like I'm swinging a baseball bat.
Oh wow!
And this thing was so loud. I'm pretty sure people like dropped their flutes. Like everybody in the room had a heart attack. And then the song instantly stopped, and everybody was looking at me. And the conductor is so mad at me. And I'm looking back at George like, what the heck, man?
Doing what you told me to do here.
I was like, you told me to hit it like a baseball bat.
Russ, cue gong.
I did exactly what you told me to do.
You had that on video or anything? I hope.
No, not. And we didn't even have. I'm so old that it's not like there were iPhones around back then, and somebody was taping it in the class.
Right.
We did have camera phones to a degree, but they were not like the smartphones.
Did you dent it or damage it at all, or was it?
I'm pretty sure I dented it. Now, the only thing that saved it from being completely destroyed is the fact that the mallet is extremely soft. Like it's almost like a furry cotton type substance.
Okay.
That's the head of the mallet.
Right, I got it.
And then with a big stick hanging out of it.
Yeah, that's funny.
So it wasn't real hard. I'm pretty sure I did damage it though. And those things are not cheap. If I would have had to,
I'm sure they're wicked expensive.
I would have had to pay for it. There would have been a problem.
They're probably still talking about it. People are like, how did this dent get in this gong?
Yeah, right.
The dented gong.
What knucklehead did this? Didn't know how to hit a gong.
We told him to hit it like it was a baseball bat.
Russ, can you get that picture of that our listener sent to us? It's that under Russ. It's under Russ on the dock.
What is it?
He's clearly listening because
he's
putting the Taco Bell sound effects and stuff like that.
He's probably at Taco Bell.
Oh, maybe that was it.
That's
right. Russ got really weird that he like won't speak anymore. Like,
he won't
speak.
He's using the computer to speak for him.
They call him Silent Russ, folks.
Silent Russ.
Yeah, Russ.
Okay.
Ta-da!
Okay, so Russ, can you go to the dock and pull this picture up that's under Russ?
That's nasty.
He's willing to hit these sound effects, but not willing to show the...
Yeah. You got to give him a couple hours.
What the heck is he doing?
All right, we'll give it one. Suck. We get one more minute.
Hey, Russell, are you just ignoring us? Can you like give us a sign?
He can't even hear us anymore.
Okay.
Or it's just he doesn't want to do it, but he won't tell us that.
Yeah.
That's what
God forbid he did his job or anything like that. It's not like he's here to do a job or anything.
No.
I feel like I'm in an alternate universe. I'm in Filipus land.
Yeah, the world.
That last sound effect I cannot stand. That last one, the zoom.
Three Stooges.
I don't know what you would call it.
Right.
The last one, it was on the rap station in New York when I was growing up.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, right. I remember.
First of all, I'm not really a big.
Was that
fan
WBLS?
Of rap
WBLS.
No, it was Hot 97. And I didn't like rap to begin with, and then they would take the rap and they'd put those sound effects over it like nonstop. It was like it was ridiculous. It was like
it's like a monster truck commercial or something.
Yeah, it was crazy.
This Saturday, monster truck, monster trucks. Live.
They wouldn't let off of it. So I remember being in the gym. If that station Hot 97 was, I was like, get me out of here. I need bigger headphones.
Use the anger to work out harder.
Side note,
Yeah,
did
I guess
anybody in the comments eat that one, not Taco Bell, but the more higher class one?
Like Chipotle or
Yeah, Chipotle. I've never had Chipotle in my life.
They're I would say they're pretty good.
I saw somebody that looked like they made like some social media thing, and it looked actually really good. I never ate there.
Every now and then I'll hit, Chipotle or Qdoba.
How does your belly feel?
How does your belly feel?
I'm fortunate in general, other than a couple years ago when I had some stuff going on.
Yeah.
Never really had issues with my stomach. I got pretty good stomach, but
He has no stomach issues, ladies and gentlemen.
yeah, ladies and gentlemen.
It's clean as a whistle.
That's right.
Clean as a whistle. Oh, the Finland said, yeah, let's hear your Chipotle or Taco Bell. What do you guys like?
Oh, Chipotle is way better.
A poll.
Chipotle or Taco Bell. The Finland
Chipotle
came
poll.
The Finland came in.
I'm trying to think if Chipotle or Qdoba is better.
The only thing that looked good, I didn't realize, I thought Chipotle was like a Taco Bell, but apparently they have you can do rice and chicken and broccoli and kind of that thing.
Taco Bell used to be dirt cheap. You could get stuffed for like $5, but now not so much.
I could not eat Taco Bell.
Yeah, I don't have it that often. Every now and
There's
then.
a place in Oklahoma, Tulsa, Oklahoma, on the Riverwalk. Liberty, have you ever been out that way?
Yeah, I've been everywhere.
I forget.
Not everywhere. I've really toured the United States. I love the
You've
US.
been everywhere.
Oh, your brother was in the military in Oklahoma.
Yes.
Do you remember? Do you know the restaurant I'm talking about?
Which one?
There was a Mexican restaurant in Tulsa on the Riverwalk.
I think you talked. Yeah. Well, I think you said that you had gone there, and I remember my mom and stepdad had gone there when they went to visit my brother in the service.
Do you remember what it was called?
Because we suggested it, and it was actually a funny story because they went on the Riverwalk, and once the announcer from Oklahoma said that there's people on board from, like, everybody was talking to them, they were getting along with everybody. Next thing you know, they said there was people from they said, "Where's everybody from?" And they said New Jersey, and next thing you know, it was quiet. Nobody talked to them the rest of the Riverwalk trip or Riverwalk boat ride. It was crazy. Like I
know that's the bad thing, because they honestly, what it is probably is they assume they're a bunch of liberals. You know?
That's what it is.
You go, no. Like maybe I can make America great again hat when you go to Oklahoma.
Yeah, I think you got to do that.
I think it was called Los Cabos.
Los Cabos.
Los Cabos in Oklahoma, over on the Riverwalk. So if anybody's in Oklahoma, go check it out.
Check it out.
Let's see the comments. DeFinland says Taco Hell. DG says Taco Bell tastes cheap. Rita likes Chipotle.
There's nothing like a good, authentic homemade Mexican meal, though. My buddy's
I like authentic. Yeah,
he's from Mexico.
Yeah,
we're playing college ball. His dad came out, and I remember for whatever reason I'd never tried, real authentic homemade Mexican food, and I had to go somewhere. I was like in a rush to get somewhere, and they were getting ready to eat, and I told his dad, it was nice to meet you. I got to go. He was like, no, just stay. You just got to try it. I was like, I really got to go. He's like, just try it. He's like, he wouldn't let me leave. And I felt like I was really going to let him down if I didn't try it. I tried it, and it was unbelievable. I did not mind being late for whatever it was.
Nice.
Totally worth it.
Yeah, no, authentic Mexican.
Shout out to Mr. Lopez.
My favorite.
Shout out to Mr. Lopez.
Mr.
Best, best cook I've ever.
Not to change countries, but I like Italian food.
Well, it's hard to
the best of everything, and I think it's the best food. Like if I want to go out and have a good meal, I will totally get penne vodka or blush, whatever you want to call it. But that's my favorite meal. Add some really nice grilled chicken. That's all I need.
Awesome.
Unfortunately,
anybody wanted to know.
Unfortunately, a really good Italian restaurant in the area closed down fairly recently.
Oh yeah, which place?
Trattoria Giuseppe in Newtown Square.
What? Oh. What? What?
What an
timing on that one, Russ.
Sounds like really great.
Or whoever's there.
Well, so let's just shut it down. If he's not going to show the picture,
I know,
he's
he
gonna
just-
blast us with
Jeez, oh,
stupid
man.
sound
No,
No,
effects.
that's all right.
Wait,
guys, I didn't want to really show it.
wait. Before we shut it down,
I'll
please. I
pass.
like these. I like.
Hey,
this-
oh, hold on. I'm hearing Russ in my ear. What was that, Russ?
I'll pass.
Oh no, I heard him just say something that he didn't want to show it.
Huh?
Was that-
Yeah, really, guys, I just
Ew.
really didn't want to show
Why
it.
not?
Oh, well,
I didn't
what's
think it'd
the-
be good for the show. I didn't think it'd be good for the show.
Really?
We don't want those kind of listeners.
Oh, thank you for being in charge of what goes on the show, Russ.
Yes.
And thank you
I
for.
am the producer.
I think you're right. The producer who doesn't produce, right?
Absolutely.
Wait, but can you guys tell me what your favorite foods are before we leave? I just like to know everybody's favorites.
Okay, yeah, in the
No.
comments.
And the comments,
everybody's
and then-
favorite food or favorite restaurant? I
No,
think
favorite type
restaurant.
of food. Like, is it Mexican?
Okay, well,
Italian?
here's what you have to do. You have to say favorite type of food, and then you have to say the favorite restaurant that goes along with it. Because it doesn't help me if you say you like Italian food and don't tell me where.
But
to
hold
get
on, are we
your
going
favorite restaurant.
nationwide? Or are we going in our little area? Favorite restaurant.
I'd say Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. Oh,
Like favorite restaurant?
Yeah.
I haven't been to many in PA. Okay, yeah. So is it? Wait, what's the options? I guess tell us whatever. It could be any option. Whatever.
I was looking for people in the comments because
And also, I want to hear Philly, Chris, and Mike's too. You guys aren't getting out of it.
Chris, I know Chris's favorite. Oh, the Bruno Brothers. This is my favorite place. Where's that from? Do you know, Liberty?
Mm-hmm.
Ah, the Bruno Brothers.
Yes, that's like in my dreams because I edited that a million times. All I heard was, "Oh, the Bruno Brothers," and I heard the shopping one. Might as well go shopping.
Might as well go shopping.
That was
Move! I'm with the media.
Oh,
Move!
yeah. Every time I'm down there, I still have flashbacks when I'm on those corners of like just that whole surreal.
Gigi, what's your
scene.
favorite?
There's this guy who does some major media productions
Yeah.
and saw that and loved it
Oh yeah.
and sent me a nice note about it.
Oh wow, cool.
And then
Okay.
at the end said, I can't believe they got the Bruno Brothers those B words.
Although you know what, they didn't get inside. I tell you what, they had some different glass actually. There, they broke it, but they couldn't get into it. So luckily they didn't
Oh.
get booted. Yeah, I was kind of surprised.
They just got busted up.
Yeah, they got busted up a little bit, but they never made their way inside. Yeah, or they just didn't like Italian food. I don't know.
Finland says pizza at ITRI Wood Fired Pizza in Bristol.
That's a good place, very good place. I've been there. New sponsor on the
Ooh.
show.
Wood-fired
That's what's
pizza.
up.
Yeah, I can't find a good pizza in my area. What is that, Larry? What did he say? Amosexual? What was that?
What's that?
It's a restaurant. You don't know? You've never been to Amosexual?
They,
Oh, that's what you guys identify as,
I've
apparently.
had the
Larry is
five,
saying.
the
You like
556
that?
appetizer.
Okay, so far we have Defiland. How do you say his name? I thought it was Definland.
I think it is Defiland. Yeah.
Defiland. Okay. Wait. I need a correct pronunciation on that. Defiland.
Oh, I've been saying to Finland.
So have I.
Yeah, I
It
think it's,
used to
like
be
the
the
Finnish.
Finland.
it used to
Right.
be. It's totally the same but different.
Defiland.
Yeah.
Defiland. Okay. Rita says Italian. Go Rita. Go Rita. We'll have to go and do Italian. That was so corny. And Rita, what's your
It truly
favorite
was.
restaurant? Okay.
Desserts.
Denise
yeah.
says
Or Denise.
dessert.
Hey now, Denise. Hey now.
That's
What
a
is
good
it?
one, DJ.
What's a good place to
a
get dessert
la
in
mode.
Pennsylvania?
What's a good place to
How
get
do we
dessert,
get this
DJ?
guy out of
And
here?
what is a good place that you go to get Italian food, Rita?
I'm trying to figure out a way to kick Russ out of the show. It's not
Yeah,
Okay,
right.
and then can I hear your guys' favorites too?
Sure.
Philly Chris goes
Did
first.
Mike go or?
Philly Chris first.
I'm a little torn because
Oh.
you know, other than my mom's cooking, but like if we're talking restaurants, I'm torn between 7 Stars Inn for the prime rib,
Mm.
Right.
Ah.
or there's a really amazing Thai place out in Phoenixville called Thai Place, and their
Really?
green curry, beef green curry, is one of my favorite dishes. But you know,
Okay.
yeah.
Any restaurant, Philly Chris? Or
we go to
just-
7 Stars Inn. We got to
Oh,
go there.
7 Stars Inn. Okay, for the roast.
We did go there. Did we go there once, Mike, or we've always talked about going there? Did we ever make it there together? I don't think we have we?
I don't think we have.
Well, we've talked about it.
I went when I first moved to the area, and I ran into, coincidentally, Bob Dodge, the tattoo artist, award-winning tattoo artist.
Oh, okay. No
He
kidding.
had been to a bunch of my seminars.
That's funny.
And so I was walking by the table, and he just stopped me. He's like, "Oh man!" He's like, "What are you doing here?" He's like, "Oh, hey, bro, good to see you." He's like, "Hey, can we get a picture?" He's like, "Yeah, it's fine."
That's cool, man. That's
So him
cool.
and his buddies, we took a picture, and then he ended up telling me what he does. It's like, "Oh, that's cool." And so I reached out to him like a year later, and he did my chest.
Oh, awesome, dude. Awesome.
Yeah. Real cool guy.
Cool. Yeah,
But
man.
I'm pretty sure that's the only time that I was ever there, and I did have the prime rib.
We should take Russ because I bet he could finish that prime rib. But you got to watch him.
Russ would want it to go in the microwave.
we'll,
You heat it
drag
up
him,
in the microwave.
we'll drag him out into the parking lot if he does
Hash
that.
House a go-go.
Hash house a go-go. Dag Nabbit says Italian, Two Brothers Italian Rest, Harrisburg, PA. What's Italian Rest? Oh, restaurant.
Two Brothers in Harrisburg.
And Scott Frey I was reading his like it was serious. So yeah, there's that.
Hash House a go-go. Where's that at?
Finland has more. Tierra Colombia on North 5th Street is best Colombian food in the city. I've never had Colombian food.
Did I ever take you to Grandma's Grotto, Chris?
I don't think so. I think I'd remember
Over in
that.
Horsham?
No.
The guy and
I
his
went there when
family
we
from
used to work
Staten
for
Island.
Law Shield.
Yeah. Petroni actually introduced me to
Yeah, from Law
the
Shield.
place.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the best gluten.
Petroni knows good restaurants. I mean,
Petroni, yeah.
He knew good everything.
Good everything.
Yeah, that's true.
If I ever had a question about anything, and for
Yeah.
those of us who have not heard us talk about Petroni, Eric Petroni introduced Chris and I because the filing says they knocked that down.
Oh, yeah?
Grandma's Grotto.
Oh, no.
What are you talking? Oh no,
They moved.
No, that's a different one because I see them active on Instagram.
We got to go to that place in Reading, too.
Because Grandma's Grotto was once right across from the airport, and they moved down the street. Now they're closer to right when you get off of the turnpike.
Okay.
I'm looking at it right now. It says that it's still there.
Oh.
So.
That reminds me. I cannot find.
You gave me a heart attack to file land.
Yeah, right.
Oh no, but DG's correct that I have not. The one thing in Pennsylvania that I cannot find is a good bakery, like for if you need a birthday cake or if you need if you just want to walk in and get like cupcakes or like a roll, like not go to Dunkin' Donuts, not go to Starbucks. I want like a good homemade, just in the morning when you're getting your coffee. I can't find a good local place like that for bagels, stuff like that. That's Jersey.
No.
What about Carlino's?
No, like a bacon, egg, and cheese. Even though I don't eat bacon anymore, but bacon, egg, and cheese on a bagel.
More like a deli though. Carlino's.
Yeah, like a deli. I think maybe I mean like a deli or a bakery. I can't find it.
Do you know about Carlino's?
Yes, and I didn't like that.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
What about, you were saying like bacon, egg, and cheese. What about Country Bagel, Westchester?
Something was different. It was all right, but it wasn't I don't know. It was take it or leave it.
Yeah, the filing saying it was up by the gun shop. That's correct. It was near right near Clayton's, and they moved out of that place. They're just a few minutes away, closer to the turnpike.
Ooh.
Gave me a heart attack.
Rita says Valenti's in Exeter, PA. Okay, I'm coming up with these.
Valenti's.
What's the one in Reading we were talking about, Mike, recently, where they're only open on the couple days a month or whatever?
Yeah. Who were we talking? Who was telling us about that?
You and I were talking about it a few months ago, or recently, I think. I forget how that came up.
Well, somebody had told me about that years ago. They said they know somebody, and
the guy I used to work with at Vanguard. We all went as a group, but he made reservations 6 months in advance or something.
Gotcha. Now there's also a place in Kennett called Tallulah's Table. I don't know if they're still around, but the thing was that you would have to call exactly 1 year in advance if you wanted reservation there.
That sounds like it, yeah.
But we'd call that's Kennett Square.
Oh, okay, yeah, same idea. Whatever, however, it was like weighing it.
But they were like real famous. Tallulah's
Oh,
table.
I know where Petroni suggested to go down to the Red Market in Philly.
Oh, Reading Terminal Market.
Oh yeah,
And I had some fries there with like some delicious sauce on them. They were really good. But yeah, that wasn't my favorite in the world, but it was really good. But so far I like Tekka, and I think their penne vodka is good, and I like Grandma's Grotto. That was good penne vodka. I'll remember a penne vodka. That I should be a reviewer on that. That's my stuff.
All right. Anything
Well,
else?
Mike, what about you? Did you
What?
say what's your favorite restaurant? And
I'll
your favorite
go
type of food?
with Grandma's Grotto.
What's your favorite type of food?
Ooh.
Being from Brooklyn.
Honestly, though, if you look at what I eat most often, and what if I had to choose one thing to eat forever, it's probably breakfast type foods. I mean, most days I'll eat breakfast for dinner.
Why not?
It's true. Egg whites, that kind of thing. Turkey bacon. That's right up my alley. That's the stuff that I enjoy eating consistently.
Yeah, why not?
I do like a good steak.
There's nothing like a good steak, man.
Like good seafood, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've had salmon. We've had scallops.
Scallops. Love scallops. Diver scallops.
Yeah.
That was strange because a gastroenterologist came on. There was some article that said 5 foods that they would never eat, and they said like steak was on it. I was
Really?
like,
What?
I was like, okay.
All righty.
I forget the reason why, but I was like, yeah, go eat your donuts, not your steak.
Because you're a P word. That's why. Yeah. I hope that's not across the line.
That's funny.
P, when I buy P, princess. You're a princess.
That's princess, right? You're a princess. Pretty little princess.
That's all the time we got for today. Stick around for We the People, the Constitution Matters. Pastor David Whitney, Professor Philadelphia. I'll be joining as your legal analyst. We miss you, Ellie. Daddy loves you. Try it again, Chris. Only with you, though. Okay, only with
Me?
you. Well, you have to at least lip sync.
Mouth
Right?
it.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
That's all the time we've got for today. Stick around for We the People, the Constitution Matters. Pastor David Whitney, Professor Philadelphia. I'll be joining as your legal analyst. We miss you, Ellie. Daddy loves you.
Huh.